Dude, I want that intro to play longer sometimes. It's pretty chill in some ways. There's other cool hits out there too. Is your audio on over there, Ben?
No.
I felt like I was hearing it come through.
You weren't?
Okay, yeah. I can see on your face. I'm like, in the room I'm hearing music.
No, yeah.
Okay.
I turned it off.
My kids in the background are dancing. All good. And the chime from the computer just came through. I still got to fix that sometime. So anyways, welcome to episode 181. Guys, I had sent you show notes that said 180, but that was last week. So this is 181. Presented by this episode. Super happy to be presented by Disc Golf 978. I personally do not get sick of talking about 978. In fact, last week I was sick. I mentioned them on the air and I got better by the end of the show. I no promises there. They used to be like a vitamin Nutri-Shop thing too, like right connected to it, so they know all about the health stuff too. But incredible. They moved to Meadowbrook Disc Golf in, I think it's Sterling. I don't know the town that well. It's a great apple
Sterling,
orchard.
correct, yep.
Great apple orchard. Fantastic people. So you get breakfast, you get lunch, or you get breakfast, amazing breakfast, buy a disc, buy whatever disc golf accessory you need, go out to the course right there on property at an apple orchard, and when you're done, get lunch, and then buy more disc golf stuff, and then get a shirt printed or a hat printed.
That's what I'm about to go do.
It's crazy. But that's for, like, you know, if you're from the Northeast specifically, that's an amazing venue to hit up. Amazing shop, Disc Golf 978. We love 978. Absolutely. It's funny because I said we love 978 and I just felt it was so natural and perfect. I was like, let's make that our code. So use we love 978. Go check it out at discgolf978.com. Casey White, speaking of 978, you see him sporting 978 on his jersey, playing these events. He loves 978. Check it out. And Casey's celebrating a birthday today. I don't have a special code for him, but
Happy birthday.
Besides all the things we've ever talked about, 978, use them for your amateur payouts, use them for your player packs. You can do this anywhere in the country. So if you are not here local to play it and you're not coming out to Maple Hill and then heading up there, definitely use them online for all free shipping over $25. Thank you, 978. How you doing, guys? Josh, what's up, man?
I am doing good, and I know we're getting to it later, but I'm just curious. In the disc golf experience as a chatter who said they're checking in, and unless they're making it up, they're our number one winner of the week. And so I know we're coming to that later. But I'm curious.
Really?
Disc golf experience? Are you really that first place person? If you are, nice job.
Qualified tarsier.
Okay.
But then again, anybody could sign in and say,
what's a
that's
tarsier?
me.
It is a primate. Is the only
Google.
entirely carnivorous extant primate,
Well,
albeit mainly insectivorous.
I know we'll get to that, all that stuff later. But Matt, I'm doing good.
Tarsier looks sick.
Excited. I mean, we're 2 weeks into the season, and it feels like we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Speaking of usernames on Pop Drop Lock, visit it, popdroplock.com. It's got some improvements. You'll see even a leaderboard now. That will continue to get improved as well. And if you want to see how you ranked against us, spoiler alert, you can see in the far right column, it lists us by name as a host where we completed because we're going to get to it. Like, I'll give you some of the details not related to like how we'll reveal it tonight, but we had over 600 active users right now as of this event. It's going to keep getting bigger, and we're going to have to figure out how to like tier this like up to be like, maybe, I don't know if we can do more prizes, but like we're going to figure something out. It's incredible. The response here is absolutely incredible. So we're going to keep it up. We're going to bring that segment today. Evan, man, what an elite. Is it called Elite Plus or just Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus? Now, how do you refer to it at PDGA?
Well, it's an Elite Series event.
Okay.
So that's maybe the basis. That's the PDGA tier for it. It's an ES.
Mm-hmm.
But the Disc Golf Pro Tour, we'll consider it a DGPT Plus event. That's what they're going with this year. Kind of because the North American Tour, there's no more silvers. I think they're dropping the Elite. I don't want to speak for them. But I believe that is the point they're trying to make. Although we will see silvers on DGPT Europe, but that's different standings, kind of different different tour system under the same umbrella, maybe. Again, I don't want to speak for them.
Understood.
But that means we have 125% of the points are awarded at this event. It was also 4 rounds, 2 courses. We saw a new course, Lake Waco, of course, joining the well-known Brazos Park East, otherwise known as The Beast, which saw 1 new hole, but 17 holes were what we've seen for years now. A very familiar course, which I say is a good thing. And people certainly still like to see it. But Lake Waco, I mean, lots of thoughts over there, but it's on a golf course. I thought it was actually provided fairly good challenge and was an interesting course, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Getting into the results, though, let's start with Kristin Tattar, and I'm trying to pronounce it like Terry Miller does. I'm doing my best. I'm probably still going to butcher it, but trying to do my best to how Kristin and Estonians pronounce her last name. Tattar. So I'm trying my best. I mean, not that I'm saying Tattar is wrong. I mean, I'll let other people be the judge of that, but I am trying my best to say Tattar. So it might sound, I don't want to say silly, but
all good. She appreciates it, I'm sure.
So, but Kristin Tattar gets the win. She started off good, but was not in the lead. She was trailing by 5, or I think it was 6 strokes after round 2. Yeah, 6 strokes after round 2 to Ella Hansen, who was leading with Owen Scoggins in between them. Kristin Tattar ends up gaining 11 strokes in round 3 to get the lead going into the final round and just kind of coasted to that win. Still looked good, and just no one else was able to catch her. So she gets the win in her first event back in the United States on tour. Excuse me. And this is her 19th major or elite series win of her career. She's one away from that number 20 milestone. But this ties her for 6th all time in the FPO leaderboards for major and elite wins, tying Sarah Hokum. Paige Pierce stands alone atop that list, and it'll take a while for Kristin to catch her. It is, I have it right here, 74 wins for Paige Pierce. So ways to go, different eras that they play, although they're of course playing, and both still very good at this stage, although Kristin is winning more as of late. Interesting fact is Kristin Tattar has a 100% win rate when entering the final round with a outright lead, which she did here today. Continues the 100% win rate, and that's at major and elite events. So we see her do pretty good tracking down the win, or tracking down other people in the lead to get the win, but we see her be incredible when she's out in the lead to just lock down and not let anyone catch her, and that's what happened here. Mm-hmm. She led in Stokes gain tee to green, but that was the only metric she led in besides overall score. Of course, near the top in pretty much every other category that you can imagine, but just outright leading in a stat category is only tee to green, which is generally the one that you want to lead in order to win. But I'll get to that in a little bit when we talk about MPO. Any thoughts about Kristin Tattar and this win? I mean, I can talk a little bit more about the rest of the leaderboard, but all eyes on Kristin. So
chomping at the bit here. I'm not going to make the big talking point yet, but you remember my point last year. I was debating all over the fact that, like, is it boring? Sometimes it is for me. I will say I was excited to see her back, so there was no element of boredom for this event. Specifically, I can say that, like, absolutely for this event, it was good to see her back, especially the fact that she wasn't in the lead for, if my understanding, you'll have to correct me, I don't think for 2 rounds she was in the lead. I think it was in the 3rd round. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was about probably midway through the 3rd round that she got the lead. Maybe a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit after. Somewhere in that like middle 6, I believe, so, in the 3rd round.
Yeah, so I think we talked about last year, we talked about not seeing her really push or have to push hard from a chase victory. We still haven't seen it, even here. But I will give her credit to seeing how she started out being like, am I stale? Have I not? She hasn't competed at all, she said. And so she kind of, the training wheels and riding the bike, everything clicked back in, and she just was able to play her consistent game and do it. So anyways, my takeaway from this event, after you asked about her, is that it was fun to watch her come from at least some stroke deficit to where she is, and congratulations to her. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just to correct you there, although we don't generally see her chase down a win, we don't have to look any further than this event last year, where she did chase down that win on the final few holes. I mean, people are going to talk about Ella's play back in 2023's Waco, but Kristin still, she birdied what she needed to do. She made the shots she needed to do to chase down that win and capitalize on.
Can you remind me what the stroke deficit was going into that round, though? Like, is there any way we can recall that, or no?
At last year's Waco?
Yeah.
I could find it here in a
Because
minute or so, but
and I'm not trying to like
it
make
was a lead going into the final few holes. It was a lead going into the final round, I'm pretty sure, or at least Kristin was trailing. But then it was a lead. Kristin was trailing into the final few holes as well as around. Probably just slowly caught up, and then was probably like 2 strokes back going into 17, 1 stroke back going into 18, and then flipped on 18 to get the win. So.
I'll just simply conclude by saying this: I would love to see. Not because I don't think she can, but it would be so exciting to watch her make a like significant deficit last tournament, or last round push. That's all I'll say. I think that'd be awesome to watch. So anyways, that was on Kristin. Josh or Ben, any thoughts on that? Congrats on her victory.
Congrats, Kristin.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was curious how she would re-enter the field, including herself, as she said in her post-round interview. And maybe there were some early cobwebs, but I think she also talked about she was fairly relaxed. And I don't remember the words she chose, but she was kind to herself. Like, in other words, just acknowledging that she was kind of re-entering the scene. And I'm sure patience, paid off. Clearly, she came storming back. I think she entered that round. I don't remember the exact strokes here. She was like down like 5 maybe, and finished the round up 7, or maybe I flipped that. But anyway, and really at that point, it's like, okay, Kristin's back. It's interesting though. Like, you look at somebody like Ella. This is a 4-round event, so Ella Hansen. Kristin finished the full tournament at 20 under par. I think I have that right. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, 20 under par.
Ella Hansen, I think, after the first 2 rounds, so halfway through the tournament, was already minus 15.
That is correct.
So I just think that's interesting also to say, like, what in the world if somebody like Ella were to hold on, Matt, maybe you would have gotten your scenario you wished for. Kristin only has to do what she has to do, play consistent, play well-rounded, don't make any of the big mistakes, and she'll continue to win tournaments. But seeing some of these other FPO players just not quite piece the consistency together. I mean, Ella literally only had to grab, 5 strokes under par over 2 rounds. Obviously, then Kristin may have pushed harder, et cetera, right? But it's just interesting. I'm picking Ella because it's such a drastic case. But congrats to Kristin. I think we will expect to see more. Who's going to pick against her? You can't at this point.
Me every week.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, that's perfect. I would agree. It's consistency that does it for her. We've said that all along. Evan, back to you, man. I think we're going to hit some more of that event.
Yeah, and to quickly cover last year's WACO, Ella Hansen was up 1 stroke going into the final round, and then proceeded to birdie the first 3 holes while Kristin Tattar was 1 over through those.
Okay. So there was
lead
some
grew to 5.
Yeah.
And then Kristin charged back and ended up, putting in herself.
That was too long ago. That was at the beginning of that year, and then the rest of the year didn't go like that. So it was too long ago.
Yeah, certainly. Well, in MPO, as we might have already said, I don't really know, but Ganon Buhr gets the win. That's his first win of the season, only being the second event. Kind of likely that's only going to be his first win, unless he goes 2 for 2, of course. But anyways, it's his 5th of his career for major and elite events at this level. That's the most of anyone since he got on the wins leaderboard, since he won 2022, USDGC. That was 5 total wins, just over 500 days ago, really like a year and a half. And then now he's up to 5. Ricky's the only other person close. He has 3 wins, and 2 of them are the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. And there's a handful of people with 2 wins in that meantime. But Gannon's kind of put himself head and shoulders as like the winner on tour since he's gotten that first win. The interesting thing that I kind of alluded to earlier was he had more strokes gained putting than he did strokes gained tee to green. Let me just pull up the stats real quick here. It was 9.29 strokes gained putting and 6.58 strokes gained tee to green. So 2.5 to 2.7 more strokes gained putting than tee to green, while also winning. It's not crazy for someone to have more strokes gained putting, but generally you're not winning with having more gained strokes putting than tee to green. So that's really incredible, and I think that tells a lot of the story. I mean, he was making some monster putts down the stretch. Of course, one thing to note out is the correct ruling, but time warning that he got from I believe an official for pace of play and to do the required 30 seconds for his throw. That kind of seemed like it knocked him off his game. Maybe it didn't, but that's what it appeared to. Luke Humphries was in the mix. Nicholas Antelo was on the chase card, setting the pace and really pushing that score. Gannon fell behind a little bit, but then charged his way back, hit some monster putts. And then it kind of came down to hole 18 where he was neck and neck with Luke Humphries. They both threw their drives. Luke Humphries then goes OB on his approach drive. And then Gannon practically parks it for that distance, probably gets to like 20 to 30 feet. And then hits that putt for the win. And that set him ahead of Nicholas Antela. So here he goes, getting the win. Here at WACO. He won in Texas last year, but not in WACO at the Open at Austin, which will be next week. But I'll throw it to you guys and what you see in Ganon Buhr as that winner. And people give that kind of gene, the win clutch gene to Paul McBeth. Some give it to Ricky Wysocki. If there's a third person to give it to in like this, wide era of disc golf, I think it's pretty hard to argue that it's not Ganon Buhr. I think it pretty clearly is, but I'll leave it to you guys to quickly discuss in this recap.
Go ahead, Josh.
I mean, so clutch, yes. I think this tournament, I actually think we're going to talk to him about it. Some of us were texting around, this is going to be the mental challenge, which is, in my opinion, what we talk about when it's clutch, right? In the middle of that round, definitely facing some adversity, coming back, knowing what had to happen on the final hole. So yes, you can compare it. Maybe it just feels like it's too early in the season, maybe too early in his career to compare him to the likes of Paul McBeth. But like when I say that, you can compare. And I guess that's the interesting point. I don't think it actually matches up to it yet. But it won't take long, right? I mean, seeing him, maybe get a couple more majors under his belt that are clutch moments. But I mean, the fact we're even talking about it kind of proves the point.
Yeah, I think it was with you, Josh, on our other show on DGN a couple years ago, 3 years ago. We kind of were bringing our takes on Ganon Buhr, and I'm pretty sure I led with, this kid's got multiple world titles in him. Like, he's going to do that. He'll be that guy. Now, the manufacturer change, he's such a smart disc golfer, and I mean that absolutely with everything I know about him. Intelligent, smart, can pick up any disc, throw it once, and really tell you all about it, beyond just how it flies, why it flies that way. Gannon can do that, and with a win like this, I just feel like you said, whether you want to call it clutch or staring down, if you will, the idea that a basket spit out or things of that nature could try to hold him back, just persevering to do what he did on the last hole. Man, I have my take, if you will, of him doing this in the future Worlds. I have my take solidified. I feel like it's no way it's not going to happen. But that's where I'm at with it. Speaking of Ganon Buhr, I think we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and bring him in. I didn't know if we were ready to do it, but I think we are. Let's bring in everybody. Welcome to the show, Ganon Buhr. I think we are.
Oh,
that's all right. Intern Ben's new to the controls, everybody. He's just swinging.
I forgot Evan's not in this scene.
He's just Ben's just like red-faced. What's up, Gannon? We already heard you say, Les, what's up? So, but welcome to the show, dude. Are you still in Texas?
Yeah, we have the Open of Austin coming up here. I have to defend my title this year. The course is completely different. I mean, I think there might be like 2 holes, 3 or 4 holes that are the same, but other than that, like they changed the entire course.
That's insight. I might pick my pop drop lock picks. I didn't know if the course was changed that much. We'll talk about that later. We'll have Gannon help us do the picks, and we'll
drop
see.
Drop me.
Dude,
Whoa.
the people who won pop drop lock this week had you in their pick for lock, and you gave them a lot of points. So I don't think we're not dropping you. Okay. So, dude, this win to me meant something. I'm sure it means a lot more to you. Is this what you would consider for yourself, for you specifically, a statement win? Like, it stamped it for yourself. Like, this win matters to me. like more than others, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I kind of honestly forgot it was an Elite Plus event until after I won. I knew that coming into it, but when I look at something like Portland Open, it just seems like such a massive tournament, and so to have it be kind of this, on the same level as it was is pretty cool. Obviously, 4-round event is a little bit tougher to win. I guess maybe easier depending on how you look at it because you have more rounds for people to maybe play bad, but you also got to play better for 4 rounds. And yeah, it was just the way it went down, I think, was a big win for me. Not necessarily the tournament itself, but on how I was able to come back after being in the lead to start and then having a rough stretch in the middle and then, coming back to clutch up on 17 and 18 to get the win outright.
Yeah. Let's ask you. I was gonna say you don't have to speak to it, but I saw your hand start to raise in disbelief when that putt came out. And I think everybody's heart did the same thing because it's like we've all been there. But where are you at emotionally, mentally? Because I've seen that happen in my backyard tournament too. But I don't think like with you.
Had some bad ones at your tournament.
Right. So, but my point is like those are a little bit different feeling. Where are you at now when things like that happen on the course? Like, it seemed like you were able to move on from that, but did you just take a second to process it, or were you just like, whatever?
Well, obviously it sucks. I know on hole 9, I'd kind of botched a pretty easy approach. I didn't play that approach very well. The 2 rounds we played there, I went with a forehand when I had a wide open backhand, but the forehand kind of took the OB out of play, which is I was worried about. I also don't want to lose my disc because that water apparently is like 10 feet deep and you can't get your disc back. So I didn't want to throw my disc in the water there. So I kind of dropped a stroke, lost one of the whole card after being 6 under through 8. And got the birdie on hole 10. And I did have the time violation on hole 10. But yeah, going to hole 11, I was feeling okay because I could get another birdie, at least just chip away another hole. And dead center spit out, lost another stroke to a lot of people, and then obviously went bogey on 12 and then hit the first tree on 13. So at that point, I kind of thought it was over, but I knew if I birdied out, it'd give me some chance. Obviously, Nicholas ended up throwing OB on 17, which gave me and Luke a chance to kind of go for the top. But after that spit out, it was definitely frustrating because I know in a tight battle like this, that one stroke makes a huge difference. So I know after that happened that it sucked. It happened. It's over, but I can bounce back from it. I didn't bounce back that well the next couple holes, but in the end, I did.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of things that can be broken down here in this round. But speaking specifically towards the end, as you were coming down into the very, very last hole, watching Luke throw that second shot, what was your process like of it, the flight in the air? Did you know that the potential was OB out of his hand kind of a thing, or were you surprised? It looked like he was surprised.
I was surprised at how soft he threw it.
Okay.
He could have reached the basket to get a birdie even. And I honestly don't even know what his game plan was or what he talked with his caddy about, but he was 500 feet out. I ranged it, which was about, I think I was like 480 out. So pretty similar distance, but he had a little bit of a weird angle. I knew the green was like definitely in play because it was the only line he could take. He had to go over the green. And he kind of just like, I don't know, it seemed like he didn't settle into his run up very well. He kind of would line up the shot to the tip of his disc and then took a couple steps back and then just went into it. He didn't like set his feet or get really any momentum. It was kind of a slow throw, honestly. And then I actually thought he cleared the green at first, but when it was kind of dead silent, I knew it was OB. I didn't even see a red flag. I just knew that it was quiet. And at that point, I told my caddy, I'm like, I'm winning this thing. And it is a perfect shot for me, 480 over the top flex. It was just like, honestly, my ideal line. I'd already thrown it on hole 6 and 7 earlier in the round. It's about the exact same shot. And I birdied park both those holes. So I basically did it a third time. Ended up really good. Used my PD2, which is perfect for that shot because I could just throw it out there flat. It'd get the distance and then get the hook up at the end, which is perfect for it. So, just crazy finish.
So you knew if you didn't get the birdie there that it was, with him being out of bounds, it was likely a playoff. did that alleviate a lot of pressure for you, or did you feel the same exact pressure because now you're like, I can win?
Yeah, it was definitely like it made the second shot for me easier because worst case is a playoff in my eyes. I know for a fact I was never going to throw on that green. It was too short. Yeah, I think it was like 400 to clear. Where when I'm throwing almost a 500-foot shot, that shouldn't come into play at all. Especially because I had a pretty open landing zone. A lot of people are questioning why I went so conservative off the tee box. Is because that shot that I set up is perfect for me. Um, there's no need for me to go more aggressive off the tee if I can guarantee myself a chance every time. So I went with that kind of more safe hyzer off the tee, and then I was actually fortunate that Luke was first because I got to see what he was able to do. And then yeah, at that point, I mean, I could just see the door open, and I knew I had to get in there and close the door shut before anyone else could, and I was able to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to watch. I was multitasking with a sporting event for my kids, but I was watching it intently, and so were they. And my wife goes, "How's Gannon doing? Quick, let me see." So like it was awesome to watch. It was a very spectacular, and I think you talked about it in your post-round interview with DGN along the lines of like, these are the ones that are exciting to look back on specifically. Yeah, you want to win maybe in a blowout, but like you don't want to watch it as much. So fantastic job to you, dude. I think this is a statement win. You didn't need me to say that. I think it really is. With Discmania Discs, right before you came on for this interview, I was talking about my perception of you and how smart you are with discs. You could pick up any disc, in my opinion, throw it once, and be able to say, oh, I know what that does. But not only that, you would also go in as deep, in my opinion, you can react to this, and also say, here's why it is. Whether it's the parting line or the shape of the mold or whatever. How do you feel that way? You're with Discmania now, throwing all their new molds. It seems like there was zero issue. You're totally settled in with them now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it helped my putting finally came this weekend. After a really rough putting performance and low confidence at Memorial, I think I missed 11 circle one putts at Memorial and was still able to win. My throwing's just been so good with these new discs. I kind of knew that was going to happen just because they have a lot of new slots that I've opened up. PD2s are incredibly consistent. Bagging the new C-Line DD3, which is just like my max distance disc, forehand and backhand. I threw that a lot at the golf course and at the Beast as well in a couple of the holes. And then I'm throwing a PD. It's that one that's dyed yellow and red. Kind of looks like it's like glitching through the air. That's one of my favorites. It's something I've never had before. It's just dead straight, and I can get almost driver distance out of it, but still have the control. And so I throw that in a lot of shots. I want to throw flat out of the hand and go flat, maybe drift a little bit to the right. And then FD3s are amazing because it's just that overstable fairway driver that can be forehand and backhand friendly. And I threw that on 17. That was the New Horizon one. So yeah, I got a good mix of discs in my bag, and I mean I already feel pretty comfortable. I mean I do have a bunch of like money run stuff, and it's tough because I have so much amazing stuff, and the new stuff is awesome, and I just don't know what to bag. And so I kind of just told myself I'm gonna throw some discs in my bag and then just learn them. Going into chess.com, I actually didn't really know how my disc flew that well because I was testing out just a bunch of different discs and different molds and plastics as well. And so on tour, I actually don't have that many backups. I just have a bunch of different discs because I still wasn't sure what I was going to throw. So I'm always careful. I always make sure I have a water disc just in case of water holes, which is what I did this weekend. If there's a hole with water, I probably threw a water disc. So, yeah, I mean, I feel already super confident with my bag.
Last question from me before I hand it over to someone else chomping at the bit, but this was the Prodigy Presents WACO. Is there any significance to that for you, or have you moved on already and you're sick of me asking that question?
Not really. It was kind of funny to win, obviously. But I mean, WACO was the first tournament I ever really kind of broke out at in 2021. And so this is my fourth WACO now, which is pretty crazy to say. I'm getting super old. And it's awesome to see it as my first really breakout performance, I guess breakout round, my first tournament on Jomez, and then to win it as a Elite Plus event in the way I won it was just like a dream come true. It's like I said in my post, it's what I live for. It's why we play the game, is to have moments like that. Obviously, it's rare to get into that situation, but if you're able to execute when that situation comes comes time, it's just like the best feeling ever to come back and watch.
Yeah, cool. Before we let you go today, after these other questions come in, I would love to get a little bit of feedback on your perspective on this course that you just came out of. I know it will be another year before we get there, but just any feedback you have there. Josh, what do you got?
Again, so congrats, obviously, exciting win. First of all, not that you care about picks on our show, but we had over 600 people play our pop, drop, lock game, and 20% of everybody picked you to win. So 1 out of 5 people thought you'd pull it out. My question is actually, you already talked about this a little bit, but it's all mental game, and I want to actually walk backwards a little bit. So you actually just earlier here in this discussion, I think you said it was on hole 13, you hit the tree. And at this point, you had kind of a couple tough breaks, challenges. How do you handle the building mental challenge at this point? And when I say how do you handle it, are you being intentional to think, all right, calm myself down, or is it just the fact that you have experience? What are you doing to not let that get you more upset and more frustrated?
I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it's a flip of a coin, whether you execute the shot or not. And it almost feels lucky that you threw the shot good. Not that it was a lucky shot, but you got lucky that you just happened to throw it good that time. Sometimes that's how it feels, but I don't know. I've done it a lot though, where I'm in these pressure situations and my game just heightens. I get a lot better actually. I make more clutch circle 1 putts and circle 2 putts, and I throw more precise drives. I think it's just like my brain telling my body to be really precise. I think it helps me having a big crowd and cameras and feeling the pressure because it pushes me. It makes you have to throw good shots. Where if you're up a lot, and this kind of happened to me at Memorial, where you don't really know what to do because you don't want to lose your lead, but you also can't really get under par, because to get under par these days in the Pro Tour, you have to play aggressive.
All right. So I know you said it's more easy and fun to start a tournament. I forget your actual quote, but having the lead and being easy, but at the end it's more sick to win when it's close. So it sounds like that's what you're rooting for, right? These close competitions, which is fun for us.
I am, but not when the time is happening.
Yeah, not in the middle of it.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy like that. My drive on 17. We all kind of know Heiser on that kind of a hill tends to get up and then roll down the hill with the OB right there. When I saw it get up and start rolling, I thought for sure it was OB, and I actually punched my hand. Not super violently, but it was a lot of.
Don't hurt yourself now. People have done that before.
And I just turned around, and I was already walking back to the bag, and then I hear cheers. I get a green flag, and I'm like, well, it's not over yet. Best case, I make this putt, Luke makes his, and I'm still only 1 back. I knew Luke probably wasn't going to birdie 18 anyway, so I knew for sure at least it'd give me a chance, which is what my goal was. I think if Luke was up, it worked out perfectly in my favor, because if Luke is up 2 at that point, he's going to find a better way to play for par, I feel like.
Yeah. So anyway, awesome way you approach that. So I want to back up. The time warning, the time violation. Most of us watching the live coverage saw a good portion of the conversation right after, but can you just tell us a little bit about how that went down?
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating. Honestly, it felt like I was being picked on a little bit, because what I don't like about the rule is it's not specific. I've heard from so many different officials and marshals that the time starts this, the time starts then. I've heard the time starts when you touch your disc in your bag. I've heard the time starts when you approach your lie. And then I was asking, what's approaching my lie? What if I'm 5 feet to the right of my lie? Have I approached my lie yet? And so, I went back and watched the shot, and I think the shot that I got called on, by the time I put my other disc down, I grabbed my disc in my hand. I think it was a 20-second shot, max, maybe 25 at the absolute most. And so I went back and watched. I'm like, I don't even know how I got called for that. But the issue apparently was I went up to my disc, and then I talked to my caddy and tried to decide what I wanted to throw. And that whole time my clock is ticking, even though I'm not even at my lie, really, not even, I'm kind of more just chatting with my caddy. And what really got to me was, and I'm not picking on Nate, but Sexton took 40 seconds on his next shot. He was at his disc for 40 seconds and nothing was said. And so if it's going to be called for me, it needs to be called for everybody. It just kind of seems like I get the bad end of the stick that way sometimes. Something that doesn't help me really is I'm actually fairly quick to get to my lie. A lot of times someone will be on the tee box before me, they'll throw their shot, and I'll actually start walking up, even step on the tee while their shot's still in the air, just because I'm anxious to get in my routine and get ready. And even though my total time from tee pad to my next shot walking wise, I'm way faster. So my pace of play, which is apparently the issue, is the pace of play, which one shouldn't matter if you're on the lead card anyway, if you're not backed up, because there's no one behind you. I actually am quicker in terms of pace of play. Maybe not when I get to my disc and go through my shot, but I'm actually, in terms of the pace of play and the flow of the course, I'm actually helping. And so it's just really frustrating. I still didn't get a straight answer on when the time starts or anything like that. It definitely got to me because I was so focused and dialed in, and then all you can think about for the next couple shots is like, I can't go over 30 seconds. I can't afford to lose a stroke. So every shot kind of felt rushed, even though I probably would have been fine no matter what anyway. Like, even if I hadn't got called for the warning, I probably still wouldn't have taken 30 seconds on those shots. It's just always in the back of the head, and it's really frustrating. Mainly just to see it get called on me, and then literally the next throw to have it happen to another player and then it not be called. In my opinion, there shouldn't be any leniency in the rule. It shouldn't be like, well, it was close, or like, you did it one time, but I didn't call you then. Like, no, the rule is the rule. If you're going to call the rule, it's 30 seconds. Someone takes more than 30 seconds, they better get called too.
Yeah, well, we've heard you share some of your opinions before, and I think you make some good points. And so I think we're all thankful that you're expressing your perspective. I will say, looking back on live, they showed some of the conversation, and I agree the explanation that we heard is not perfectly clear. Honestly, again, it put a smile on my face when you were literally like demonstrating. You're like getting behind them, pretending you have a rangefinder, and then you asked him,
Yeah.
you're like, is there a circle? So I love the conversation.
Is there a diameter that my time starts and I haven't got a straight answer?
And he said no. Yeah, and he said no. And then I literally wrote down the quote of what he was saying. I'm not going to recite it to you, but I think it'll be an interesting conversation for us as we discuss. I was definitely curious if it would throw off like your focus, and as you acknowledged, maybe you were still focused, but the fact that you had to think about maybe feeling rushed to throw is certainly a factor. Interesting.
And even just like the rule itself, where they're like, when you can't use video evidence to replay a shot that maybe was close, or you're not sure if it crossed in bounds or not. If you can't use that video evidence because they say that because, the fifth card doesn't have video evidence of their shot. Well, the fifth card also doesn't have a marshal walking with them to call that. It wasn't a player that called me, it was a marshal. So why would that not apply for the rule? If it's just like, I don't know. Obviously, like, yes, I probably could speed up in a way, but I don't think I was any slower or causing any pace of play issues on my card at all compared to the players on my card. It was just kind of annoying.
Just out of curiosity, because I actually didn't see that unfold. I was probably driving to my son's football game, but I'm not asking for names here. Was this a Disc Golf Pro Tour official, or was this an event marshal? And I know there's like PDGA and all that. Do you know?
Yeah, he's a Pro Tour official. Okay. I've actually never seen him walking. I've never actually seen him be a marshal on a course. This is the first time I've ever seen him.
Okay.
But I know he works for the Pro Tour.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah, you can see the whole conversation on live. It's interesting. So, hey, the last thing, unrelated to that, I said I was walking backwards through the round. So mental stuff on hole 17 and 18. Now we just talked hole 10. All the way back to like hole 1. I'm just purely curious, low pressure moment, but them doing a live walking interview after the round has started, asking you different questions around, hey, you looking to take down your old sponsor, that kind of stuff. How does that sit with you? Like, do you enjoy that conversation live during the round?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fun. I mean, it's
Uncle Luke, is that what you said?
Yeah, Uncle Luke. He is my Uncle Luke.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just yeah, I mean, it's just funny. I think it's a good time, honestly. It's
Good.
I actually prefer to be talkative on the course, so sometimes those final rounds are a little bit weird because no one's talking. But then, you can put the same people the round before and everyone's talking. It was fun though. I think we talked quite a bit. It was a pretty laid back league card. It was actually really fun. I had good cards every single round. And so yeah, I enjoy doing stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, again, congrats. I think all of us speculate, and hopefully you feel the same, that we'll see more of that this year. Hey, and for us, we're rooting for it to be close and exciting. I'm sure in the end, if you pull out the win, you feel the same. But
Yeah.
all right, back to the rest of the guys.
All right, Ben's got, intern Ben's got one for you.
First off, I gotta say, people were having
That was a weird one.
Yeah.
people haven't been DMing me voice message, so I appreciate it. Tagging me in your posts. Gannon Buhr. Yeah, I do have a few questions. First off, let's just talk about your putt. I mean, 20-footer. You make it 10 times out of 10 in Matt's backyard, whatever. But in that moment, I just want to see kind of behind the mental. What were your swing thoughts? Did anything change, or was this just like, I'm gonna hit this, whatever? Or was it kind of like, take me through that whole swing thought, and if you had any nerves, because I had nerves for you, but you seemed calm, cool, collected.
Well, we'll call it 25 feet. It was definitely it was about a 25-footer.
All right.
A lot scarier than a 20-footer. 20-footer is pretty close, but you add 5 more feet, it's just another more range to have the putt follow the air or something weird happen, the wind mess with it. I mean, I walked up to that putt, and it's literally that moment you dream of where, like, you have a chance to win, you have to make the putt. It's pressure. It's that clutch range where there's no excuses if you miss it, like, especially if it's pretty calm outside. When you get a deep circle 2, it's kind of like you throw it up there and hope it goes in. But if you're that close, it's on you to make it. And I just could envision how sick it would be to make the putt, and I made it, and that's how it went down. I mean, I was able to kind of play out my thoughts in my head perfectly. I mean, there's definitely thought of me missing it. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, well he doesn't even think about that. He'll just make it no matter what. Well, then I get flashbacks to the Andrew Presnell playoff at Mid-America where, he's parked. I got a 20-footer and I miss it, 25-footer ish. So I have struggled in situations like that before, and I really just wanted to close it out. I did not want to play more disc golf. I wanted to get it over with. If I had a chance, and I was that close after all the stuff I had been through the whole day, I had to take advantage of it, and I was able to.
Boo! We want more disc golf. Okay.
No,
That was awesome.
No, we don't.
Well, it seemed like you did take advantage. It was a nice, confident putt right out of the basket, so that was awesome to see. Are you still putting with links? I know that was a debate you were having, but do you think you're gonna stick with them, or are you gonna try out P3Xs?
It definitely won't be P3X. I'm gonna put with links until I have a Gannon Buhr putter come out, which we're working on.
Let's go.
So, super excited for that. So, when they come out, be sure to buy one, because I already know it's gonna be exactly what I'm looking for. So,
Sweet.
Something a little more overstable with less glide, and that way I can be just jamming those circle 2s again. I putted really good from circle 2, but I had to float them in there this week, which some people like. I mean, it's not that the length's a bad putter at all. It's just I prefer something with less glide and a little more overstable finish. But I proved I can make them work. And it's nice sometimes to just put a little more spin on it, and you get a nice straight flight. So it's kind of nice for those like 100-foot putts. You don't have to put too much effort behind them. And
whoa. Like when you go, it's nice for those 100-foot putts. Like in my head, that's a throw-in, bro.
No, you just snap it. Just a little snap with the hand, and it goes. It at least goes all the way there, no problem.
Just a little, my snap. I've got about 100-foot snap in me, full drive backhand. All right. So,
yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm gonna buy those putters and try and putt like Ganon Buhr. So that's awesome. Thanks for the announcement.
Ditching the rainmakers.
Yeah, ditching the rainmakers. I have a question. You keep mentioning your caddy. Schleybox normally your caddy. Who was your caddy this event, and how was that whole process? Kind of having a newer caddy, was it seamless? Did he help you a lot, or was it just like some guy to carry my bag?
Well, he talked about you the whole weekend.
Who is he? I don't know who he is.
You know exactly who he is. It is Garrett from the Disc Barn and Hooligan Discs, and he was one of my first like retail sponsors a couple years ago, and he caddied for me at 2022 WACO and 2023 WACO, so I know him pretty well. Really funny guy. He's like super easy to talk to, and he's a good caddy. He kind of has like the humor I want when I'm playing. Round 2, I was like 4 through 4, and he's like, "Bro, you got to pick it up. You're off pace. Like, you're doing terrible." And I was like, "You're right." And then so he keeps it nice and relaxed. Always just kind of joking around that way. I'm not thinking about the shot in my head. I'm not overthinking stuff, and I think that helps a lot.
Awesome. I saw the hat he was wearing, and I had to go out and get one myself. So it's
Nice.
a wonderful hat. But no, that's it. Actually, Nick Carl, everybody, he joined the show sneakily even after Gannon joined. But Nick, did you want to say congrats or anything? You pull Nick up, Ben.
Yeah, of course. Congratulations. And it was great to see you down in Florida, but great to see you kick some ass with the Discmania bag out in Waco, Texas. It's a pretty awesome tournament. I'm glad you got a win so early on in the 2024 season. Just the confidence building up for it. It was insane to watch. Definitely coming down the stretch was an absolute battle. So once again, just congratulations to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, last going away question I told you I'd ask, and just give us your comments or your thoughts. If they were going back to this same course next year, which I'm assuming there is, that was the talk of like building a relationship with this venue and all that. That's why the tee pads were the way they are. Would the tee pads fix everything for most of the feedback that was given, or is there still a lot of work to do there? Do you see a lot of hope for that course? Like, what are your thoughts? Because we'll talk about it and break it down after you leave too, but what were your thoughts?
I thought the course played really well. It wasn't like super fun to play, or obviously like super like pretty out there. I mean, we're in Texas; it's pretty flat. There's not a ton of trees out there. But I think they made pretty good work with what they had. They had good water features on a couple of the holes, and some holes with elevation change. And then obviously 17 and 18 were great finishing holes. So I thought the course played really, really well. It was fair. There was really nothing fluky about the course, which is always something I look for. Good variety of forehand, backhand, hyzer flip, turnover, flex line, shot shapes. I mean, you name it, any shot shape. And I think it played really good. The tee pads didn't really affect me too much. I know I saw a lot of players slip on them, and they can become pretty dangerous, especially a couple of them had drop offs, and I don't know, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet sometimes. So that can be dangerous. But that was just because they want to, like you said, build that relationship and prove that like they can help out the golf course as well. So I think next year we'll probably have more solidified tee pads.
And final thoughts. They used to do like test venues like as like silver events back in the day. And I actually thought that worked out pretty well. What do you think about like a Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus? Like the first year you ever see a course is at that event. Like, would you like to see there be a little bit more testing and trialing before something makes it on tour? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Sure, but I also don't really care that much. I could go either way on that one.
Okay. No, that's good feedback. We want to hear from the players at the courses and what they think. Obviously, we're not throwing the discs there, so thank you for that feedback. Any closing thoughts before you go? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to get off your back or surprise us with?
Just thanks to my sponsors, Discmania. Like I said, they've been awesome since I joined them, and they're continuing that support. It's been so amazing. Just getting a lot of media out there, great content, and they always have my back no matter what. Thank you to Squatch Bags, Gannon Buhr bag in the works. So I'm very excited for that to come out. And my other sponsors, Double G Craft Jerky, Chump Chalk Bags, Titan Disc Golf, Team Eagles Wings. I hope I didn't forget any. But yeah, just thank you everybody who supported me and everyone who was out there. It was just so fun, great crowd, and that's pretty much it.
Very cool,
I have one more comment I was noticing. Your new white shoe, white shirt drip, Gannon, Sheesh. I love it. I love the new style. It's looking good, brother.
Let's go.
Wanted to say that.
Let's
I forgot
go.
to mention that. I thought it. I was like, dang.
Hey,
He's looking fly.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
No, he's right. He's right. All right, dude. With all that being said, you shared some awesome insight with us. We do appreciate you. Hey, and your camera, this is not Gannon Buhr
and the audio is
2023.
incredible. I was singing that. The audio is incredible.
Well, you're lucky. I'm on the Wi-Fi of the Airbnb. It was like unusable. It was so bad before I joined the Wi-Fi. So you're lucky.
Well, the quality is
Yes,
pristine this time. It's not Gannon going over the hilltops, down the hilltops.
Yeah.
We ask the questions on the way up. He answers on the way down. So this was fantastic, dude. Thank you so much for coming on.
Having me.
We have to try to decide here's a show if he's going back to back, but we'll do that when he's off the show. Gannon, thanks so much, man. We'll catch you next time. Peace out, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Gannon Buhr.
All right, everybody. Oh, he just logged out before you could swap
I know.
out Evan.
Wow.
Evan, I feel like he gave us enough insight. And welcome, by the way, Nick. I know you jumped in the middle of that interview. He gave us a fair amount of insight, and I almost feel like, and this isn't a first, but like I don't have any right or reason to talk here. I don't have a strong opinion on the course beyond I didn't think it looked pretty. Other than that, he gave us his thoughts, and he's a player. And I know other players maybe disagreed with some of what he said, but like, what do you think? What do you think the course played? And Nick, whoever wants to comment on that.
Well, I have a really cool stat about the courses, kind of the yin and yang that you can call them. We've known Brazos Parkes for a long time. We've talked about it with Nick's experiences there playing Waco when it's a 3-round event. But that course, when you factor in the par, is very short. Even if it has maybe more par 4s or a par 5. Yeah, it has a par 5. But when you take in the distance, that you need per shot in order to get a birdie, which been talking about a while now, but Kurds, just a way to calculate that on a per shot basis. It's either the lowest or second lowest. It kind of fights with Idlewild at the LWS Open for who's the lowest, depending on the division and kind of the certain layout. With the changes to the layout, Brazos Parkes for both divisions is the shortest event of the year by Kurds. So you need the least amount of distance in order to get a chance at birdie. Again, I'm repeating myself, but to make the point. Lake Waco is the opposite. You need a lot of distance per shot in order to get the birdies. For FPO, it's the longest on the season, or including last season. Of course, there's only 2 events this season. But when you include all of last season, last year plus Las Vegas Challenge of the last year, it's the longest. And for MPO, Lake Waco is the 4th longest, with Glendoveer East, I believe, being kind of on a tier. Glendoveer West, excuse me, is on kind of a tier of its own, but it's right in the pack after that. So it just that alone really intrigues me. I like that. I've always loved that Waco isn't a purely distance course and it's a different technicality. Not that Nick can't compete on other courses, but it was really cool seeing players like Nick. No, you can. Seeing players like Nick, pop off and start playing really well. Luke Humphreys of old did the same thing, but now Luke Humphreys is doing it when the distance is factored in as well into. So I think it's really cool. And people always say, is Waco wacky? The last 3 USDGC winners in MPO are the last 3 winners at Waco. And Kristin Tattar has won back-to-back. I don't think you can say, well, it's wacky just because a one-off year. But you do see players who aren't, necessarily at the top of the leaderboard week in and week out at the top of the leaderboard here. I mean, a big note was the Jomez trio of Big Sexy Barry. Jeremy Colling, Nate Sexton, and Paul Uleberry all finished top 25, and they're all top 10 going into the final round. That doesn't happen often. The last time they were top 10 going into the final round was 2018 at Masters Cup. And then interesting enough, the last time that they were top 25 was 2021 Masters Cup. It's now no longer on the tour. But think about De La Viega, similar idea where you don't need a lot of distance. It's more technicality. And so you see those types of players that we know and love. And I think that's really cool. It's a different change of pace than the rest of the season. So I really loved the pairing this year of the short and long. But that was a long way to get to my point. But I'll let you all talk about any other.
And that's why I went and took a bathroom break, because I knew I'd be fine.
All right. No, that's good. In fact, we have Casey White, surprise visit. We didn't tell everybody at the top of the show, but he will be joining here in just a minute. He actually was in the green room, texted me, and then things went black. So we'll get him back in here in a second. But before he gets back in, Nick or Josh, any comments on that? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I was talking to a couple pros about just the tournament in general, and Waco over at Brazos East is always kind of one of the pro favorites because of how scoreable the property is. I mean, for me personally, like Evan was saying earlier, that out of all the tour courses that are still out there, that's the one course that I could still compete against players at. Obviously a couple bad rounds and I'm out of it, but that's a course where if I was to go and practice it every single day, if that was my local course, like hot scores can be put up there because it is the shortest course on tour. And a lot of players like that because it's not a distance fest. It's solely relying on a lot of putting, hitting your lines, and it's kind of a birdie fest, if anything. And then adding in Lake Waco this year, I was able to watch some of the coverage for it. I wasn't in love with the property. I mean, it's just you're on a golf course, and it felt like a golf course playing down some of the fairways and then going off the fairway to where the woods are. And that's where you set the basket. Definitely wasn't in love with the tee pads in the sense of how they weren't flush. Those drop-offs were pretty insane, and then even stepping up onto the tee pad was I think a little brutal. I know a lot of pros complained about that, the ones who I talked to about it, but for the most part it definitely adds a little bit to the Waco tournament, and you go from the shortest course on tour to, like Evan was just saying, the fourth longest course on tour, so it definitely does add a little bit to it. So I'm curious if that is what's going to happen next year, if they're able to do a little bit more with the tee pads over at Lake Waco.
Yeah. Cool. Josh, any thoughts before we get Casey's opinion?
I wonder if we would consider swapping the order they're played. I just love the classic Waco course in that 18th finishing hole. Although this course provided plenty of drama, but I wonder if it has to be played in the order it was played in, or if you could swap it, but not much else to add.
Okay, cool. I will say that I think we're ready to actually get a pro player's opinion here. Let's go ahead and bring into the show. His name is Casey White. Whoa. Happy birthday music. Let's bring in Casey White. That was extra loud. What's up? You gotta switch out the camera. Ben's on his A game today. Can you bring in Casey?
Yes.
There we go. Boom. What's up, Casey? We gotta unmute his mic. Boom. 3,
Happy
2,
birthday, Chimo.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
No problem. It was funny. Dude, my memories came up today. I was like, wish Casey White a happy birthday, and it's a picture of you, Wads, and I over at Ledgestone a couple years ago. And then the picture of you, Hannah, and I at Maple Hill back in 2016 or something like that. Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good times.
So we were just talking course. We just asked Gannon about it. He goes, doesn't really bother me. No big deal. He gave a few opinions on it, but let's just start off with that. And then because they will transition out of that and actually into your play. But what did you think of the course? Like how they played together? Did you like the new addition?
Me personally, like I was ready for a change at Waco because as a course that like Waco is half woods, half open, and the woods is my style game, like forehand dominant, spinny, not power. And like the players that I would use in comparison are like me versus Aaron Gossage throwing a sidearm where Goose can just zip him in a dead straight line. I feel like I'm more of a finesse guy rather than just like slamming a disc on a hyzer and watching it go in a straight line. But yeah, I've always thought that Brazos was the perfect combination of half open, half woods. And, going into the tournament, I was kind of bummed that the tournament went from a half and half to a 3/4 to a quarter woods. You know what I mean? The proportion kind of went off. But, the golf course, I never am a fan of playing on a golf course. But after my first round there, I wasn't happy with the layout, but that didn't mean I couldn't score every single hole. I felt like I had a putt for birdie. It's a matter of just like, it's not the shots I want to throw, but it is my job. So I throw them as best I can and, do what I can to score as best that whatever my abilities allow.
Okay, moving off of that subject then, what a way to start out an interview. What do you think of the course? Your play was fantastic. We're playing a game over here on the show now called Pop, Drop, Lock, okay? And we pick players who we think are going to pop off, who are going to fall off, and then who we think is going to win. We have a lot of people playing now. I bet you we top 1,000 people playing this game this week, and we can look at the percentage. Josh, do you have there how many people picked Casey by chance?
Well, to what? To win?
For whatever.
Pop off.
For any pop. Yeah, let's go pop.
All right. Well, give me like 5 seconds.
Okay, he's going to do the math. Right. He's a stat man, the new stat man.
Prove all the haters wrong. Who picked Casey to drop?
Well, yeah. So, look, 27 people, which is actually over 5%, picked Casey to outperform his historical average. So they basically said, we think
you're talking about at Waco specifically.
Yes, at this event specifically.
Yep.
I would hope.
And by the way, you gave them
that.
a lot of points, Casey, and all of our top winners in the game won because of you.
Yeah.
And only one person picked you to actually win.
There you go. That's okay.
I let them down.
Hey, but somebody still picked you to win.
Yeah.
That's probably my mom.
She found our game. She's like, I'm signing up, voting for Casey.
Your mom or your girlfriend, one or the other.
But in all seriousness, it's a fun game we're playing, and I know players probably don't care too much about the fantasy side of it, but the point is, we see this compared to your average performance last year. This is a significant pop-off. What do you think? Did it feel great? Did it feel like you outplayed yourself, or was it just normal and it was cool how it unfolded?
I mean, I can't just say it was normal, because every single year I've gone into this tournament being like, oh yeah, this is my course. I'm going to attack. I'm going to run every putt. Like, I feel great out here. And I actually did some history research last night and found out I didn't even shoot over 1,000 rated round last year in this event.
Wow.
And the first time I ever played in 2021, I 3-putted 18. I made it on the green in one shot and then 3-putted and missed cash by 1. So I looked at it as, there's no way I'll ever miss cash at this event again. And I felt like that mindset just dove me into a hole for the next 2 years, where every single year I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I play good at a course that favors me? And yeah, that's why I was saying, like, the golf course just offered a little bit of change of scenery, a little bit different. I feel like I am the player that benefit rounds in a tournament, because I feel like I'm not too flaky, too high, too low. I will just punch my ticket all the way to the end, little by little. And it proved to be the case, because 4 rounds just allowed me to just climb.
Yeah, fantastic performance, man. I can say this specifically from the Northeast, at least from Leicester where I'm at. It's just fun to watch somebody from our home area playing. It's a different vibe. And I don't know if you ever, you never had that even. When you were growing up disc golf, there wasn't a player local going out on tour, so you don't even know that feeling.
Nope. As far as I was concerned, I was the first one.
You
and
are.
Like, the people around me told me I was the first one.
You are. And now we got Paul Kranz, so joining you out there. And so we're rooting for him as well. And then like Simon's kind of an adopted Northeast guy.
Adopted is the perfect way to put it. Yeah.
So we're giving you first bid on that, but we're rooting for Paul as well. Hey, dude, and the music here blasted at the beginning, but is it your birthday today?
It's my birthday today. Yes,
it's your birthday.
My 24th birthday.
24. So you got a solid 2 years left in you before down. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's all done. It's all going down.
Awesome. Did anything stand out to you about your performance? Were you just everything clicking, or was it something specific? Putting, throwing, like where? Mental. Okay, tell us about that.
All mental. I was so at ease on the course. Like, I had Trevin caddying for me all the rounds, and like he saw me play every single hole besides hole 1 of the first round, because he finished right before the rain delay, and then when we went back out for the rain delay, he joined me on hole 2 and caddied for me the rest of the tournament. And yeah, I mean, I literally just kind of bit the bullet and said, listen, there's no excuses as to why you haven't cashed here, but like, let's not make it a mystery and let's just act like it never happened. So I just kind of went out with a clean mindset and had a great time with all my card mates and Trevin. But specifically, something that Trevin said to me after the tournament was, he said that the way you were throwing the disc, you were never going to not cash, but your putting is the reason that you got top 10, because I was giving myself easier opportunities. Like, I think I'd never played a round at Brazos without getting a double bogey. And I went bogey free for 35 holes straight at Brazos and bogeyed the last hole on 18 on round 3. And that's just something I've never been able to do, whether it was skill wise, mentally, anything like that. Just looking at a 30-footer for par after I've earned my whole way down this fairway to know, like, this is my opportunity. And I was able to seize the opportunity and not let it scare me away. And time after time, those scenarios kept coming to me. And rather than folding, I would attack.
How cool is that? Is this a mental shift for you in general? Did you struggle with this only at this course last year, or was it just all last year or here and there? Like, is this a shift for you going into this season?
No, I mean, so 2021 was my breakout season. I did way above my expectations for the first half of the year. I mean, at one point I was top 10 in the power rankings because I had like a great month and a half stretch. And, after a full year on tour, it kind of wears on you as every stroke matters. Every stroke is money in your pocket that you didn't earn, or, you're now without. And 2022, I kind of needed a new approach. So I approached it as like, let's not care. Let's just have fun. Let's throw the shots that make you enjoy the game. And then I had to reevaluate and say, listen, buddy, I think you're having a little too much fun out there. Like, let's try and play good again and level it in. And then last year I was like, yeah, like, no more fun and games. And then that drove me off the edge, because now that I'm like, I'm dialed, I'm locking it in, I'm not going to mess around anymore. And then I kept finding myself in those scenarios where I'm like, why am I in 80th place right now? You know what I mean? I'm better than 80th place. I'm better than 50th place. And I really just think it's a matter of like appreciation for the lifestyle, appreciation for just like throwing a disc, really. Like every single shot, I was determined to throw it well because I knew how happy it would make me to throw it well, if that makes any sense. And the one issue that I struggled with last year was being terrified to miss rather than eager to make. And it didn't matter if I was circle 2, circle 1, I was just like in a complete mental debacle where if I was 29 feet for birdie, I'm like, oh, well, now that you're 29 feet, if you don't make this, like, you might as well just freaking leave, you know what I mean? And just being on the putting green at a certain point in the 2023 season was my worst nightmare. Even though I would sometimes, string together a good round and I'd make some solid putts, that doesn't mean that I was at ease while I was playing. Right. And this entire weekend, I was just so relaxed. I even told Joel Freeman, I was like, yeah, I was feeling so loose. I was like yawning as I'm stepping up to throw some shots because I'm just so calm and I'm just so relaxed. And I'm just taking it hole by hole, shot by shot, and getting serious and getting, sharp when it's really, really necessary, but not looking at every single hole as you need to throw this perfect or else. And I even loosened up so much that I was able to just chuck a upside down tilt on hole 3 at Brazos just because I wanted to. And I felt like that spoke to my tournament in a nutshell, because I was just feeling so confident that it didn't really matter what I was throwing. I was just, I don't know. I was just confident.
You hung out with Simon Lizotte a little too long in the Northeast, but maybe it's rubbed off.
No.
The upside down tilt, man. Classic. Very cool.
Yeah, but he never threw it in tournament.
No, you have a pretty well-known shot, right? Over the top of the tree with a tilt into the basket, too.
I mean, it's the most well-known shot with a tilt there ever is.
Sweet. Way to go, dude, on that. You got does anybody have any questions for Casey? Anybody else?
Please, bring him on.
Josh?
No, I just, not necessarily. Well, it is a question. So 2 of your best, or 2 of your top 3 finishes on tour have been in Texas in March. Now, I don't think there's necessarily a trend, but I'm curious, is there anything about early season March? Is there anything about Texas? What do you expect to happen this coming weekend?
I mean, I think a good example is like Luke Humphreys. Like, I think everybody just starts the season fresh and determined and ready to get out there, and there's no stopping us. Like, we're all just so eager to be back out on the course and competing, and we just so happen to be in Texas in March. We could be in California in March, and I bet you the same exact trend would happen because we're still fresh. It's not late September and we're all freaking dragging our feet and making sure that we can freaking mend our shoulder back onto our body. Like, we're still very, very determined to get out there for a full season and ready to get started on the right foot. But I would say the difference between March 2021 and now is March 2021, I had nothing to lose. I only had something to prove. And the last couple of years, I've only felt like I had something to lose. And I felt like the last 2 years of kind of feeling defeated has led me to just let loose a little bit and just let my talent show, rather than like trying to convince somebody that I have talent.
Yeah.
Well, this is true in all aspects of life. Sports is probably really puts it on, in the spotlight. But it's all about learning and learning to improve. So it's really interesting to hear your experience over these years. The way you've commented here this evening is like, well, I've learned this and I did this year and I adjusted. So if you continue to build on that, it's great seeing you play loose. Obviously some great performance. Plus I imagine you enjoy that more.
So my mind was so just ruined at a certain point in the season last year. It like just driving me away from competition in certain ways. And that's never a positive thing. Nothing good's ever going to come from that.
Yeah. So when you say early in the season, you used the word fresh. It sounded like you were referring mostly to the mental grind, but then you also talked about putting your shoulder back in your socket. So is it everything by the end of the year? Is it just all building up?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the mental grind convinces you that your shoulder's falling off.
Yeah.
But it also has to do with the courses we play. I felt like chess.com wasn't like the 12,000 foot courses that we play in the heat of the summer, and those are really the courses that can wear on you when you go back to back to back to back. And but it's definitely more of a fresh mentality to make everything else in your life feel like it's still fresh. Whereas if it's the opposite, it doesn't matter how good your body feels. If your mind feels tired, you're going to convince yourself that your body is also tired.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I'm going to move on because I appreciate your response. I've done some extreme endurance sports, and they actually talk about the mental. And so everything you're saying resonates, that your body can do a lot more than you think it can do. But the mental is incredibly hard. And by the way, a lot of top professionals take serious mental training. And I think it can make a big difference. You're learning it on the course week in and week out. But again, congrats on a great performance this past weekend. Obviously, we'll be watching to see how you continue to perform.
Thank you. And I do got to give a shout out to Matty O. I can't just act like it didn't happen. Trevin and I stayed with Matty O at the USDGC last year. Matty O had just won MVP. He stayed at my house. It was like the most rewarding week of my life. Like, I snuck into last cash, but there was nothing that made me happier than having Matty O take it down. And, at the USDGC, it's a major following up Maple Hill. And he just kind of sat there and started talking about what it takes to win and everything like that. And he says, you'll never know what it takes to win until you watch The Last Dance. He's like, Michael Jordan, greatest athlete on and off the court, everything about him. He knows how to be a champion and how to sustain success. So early January hits, and I'm like, if I know one thing, it's you take Matty O's advice. And I don't watch shows. I'm not the guy that just sits and is like, oh, let me scroll and find something I've never seen before. I'm not that guy. I need a very, very good reason to watch something. And I was so determined to finish The Last Dance that I didn't actually get to finish it until halfway through chess.com. But, I had still made it far enough in there that I started to kind of, just believe myself a little more and just have that mental, you tap into something mentally that just tells you that you're it and you're the best. And, there's certain shots on the course this weekend that I threw, and maybe I made a great putt and I walk off the green and I'm like, you're the best effing player in the world, bro. That's just, you just gotta be like that sometimes. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
Right. I'm going to pass it over to Nick. Nick came in late, but we keep giving him the tail end of these interviews. Nick, what do you got for Casey?
Skywalkers. What's the next one? When's it coming out?
July, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Same run of discs? FD1?
It's going to be an FD1, yes.
Nice.
The plastic is to be determined, but Skywalker 2, FD1, it's coming.
Oh, yeah. All right. That's all I had.
There's another surprise coming. Don't you worry.
Very cool. Second question, Team Challenge Finals, April?
Yes. Are we even confirmed that we're in yet?
Chimo said 99.9% will be good.
I know. And I looked at the stats because Crane Hill's going to lose to 2 Buff at Buff.
Oh.
Yep.
And I know for all the people who are not New England people, I know this is all Chinese to you, but Crane Hill is going to get smoked at Buff. We're going to have them on the points percentage because we only lost by 2 points.
Yep.
So I think that we got a lock. Page Park and Wickham have to play neutral. If Page Park wins that, then Wickham's an automatic relegation.
Yeah. So once that's solidified, I am buying my plane tickets and I'm going to go up for 5 days.
I already bought my plane
ticket
and it really, really made me sad, of course, that Team Buff lost. But I think that we're still going to make finals and that, there's still work to do. But I am really sad because I had this plan that when Team Buff beat Warwick at Warwick, I was going to wear my Team Buff shirt for the vlog today on my birthday vlog. And I was like, I can't do it. I just can't.
Is it fair to say then that for this event, 2 Buff versus Crane, you're a 2-buff fan for at least that day?
No. I'm a Crane Hill fan.
I thought you
I would love
wanted
to see
Crane to
Crane
lose
Hill.
so you could make finals.
Well, no, I want Wickham to lose to Page Park more than anything. I just know that Crane Hill is not beating you guys.
Okay, so you're not a fan. You just know the facts. I appreciate the facts. I'm a
He's a
part of
betting
2-buff.
man.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's like saying that, no, not going to happen.
All right, fair. We'll do what we can at home. We're undefeated at home all time, 6 years, I think. So we're happy. You're 7 years. So. Even against you guys. Now I'm talking smack to our interview. I apologize. Dude, it's your birthday. You got, I'm sure, some type of a raging party or at least fun scheduled. We're glad that you took some time for us. The fans love it in here. My dad texted me. He's like, Casey got me 44 points this week, so my dad picked you as one of those. So we got people all over excited to have you on. We appreciate your insight. We're going to let you go. Have a good night. Appreciate your time, Casey.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I always love coming on here and, just being honest and having a great time with you guys.
Right.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Casey.
Love it.
At least you didn't cut your finger this time. All right. Everybody.
All right.
Casey
Peace
White.
out, brother.
We are happy to have him on. Always, as he said, speak the truth, honest, whatever he said. But that is his thing, man. He just really gives us insight, and he's just, I would say he's nothing to hold back, but he also doesn't hold back. He just kind of says what he thinks, and hey, I'm sorry, I'm just saying what I think. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really comfortable, and that approach in our conversations, it sounds like for him that's the winning formula on the course. It sounds like he knows it. It's just a matter of can he continue to replicate it. It's fun seeing any player for that matter, but somebody that has a connection to many of us in the Northeast to perform that way.
I'm gonna go watch The Last Dance now, and I'm gonna get fired up.
Have you never seen it?
No.
I have
dude,
not
it's
either,
insane.
Nick. I have not either.
One of my
Pretty
good
good.
friends was a main editor on it. So
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'll say this actually, the one good round that I did at Waco that week, I watched The Last Dance.
Dude, I gotta watch The Last Dance, and we gotta record a video of me versus Kearns.
Dude,
Okay,
it's incredible. It just shows what winning mentality is, and you can call Michael Jordan a POS of a teammate, but that man knew how to win and how to push his teammates to be better, and some of that involved actually fighting his teammates, and somehow, some way, they created 2 dynasties with it. So I would have loved to have been Michael Jordan's teammate back in the day.
I love how Ben's thing is I gotta watch it and then play Kearns.
And then play
That's
Kearns.
his Super Bowl.
That's the battle we're waiting for.
let's go.
Hey, we'll do it.
I
We'll do
told
it over
Kearns
at
already
Westy
last year
Acres.
he's not beating me in the tournament ever again. So I have
So
to
you
We'll
keep
do it
need
that.
over at
watch
Westy
the movie?
Acres.
No,
Good.
Yeah.
Westy
Well,
monthly.
speaking of Westy Acres, they were down in Brooksville.
They were.
You saw them over today at
did.
Mr. Olympus meeting Mr. Westy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always cool.
Okay.
So, no, it was great. I had an awesome conversation with them, talked about the courses and just kind of how they started up their course. And, it just was a fun thing that they got going. Then all of a sudden there was 6,000 UDisc rounds on it. And that doesn't even account probably the other 4,000 to 6,000 players that played on the course without UDisc. So it's incredible to see.
Very cool. All right, we made it to this point in the show. We're gonna
Let's go.
Yeah, everyone's
I just,
excited.
I'm sorry, I have to say, I just hope Ben accidentally goes home and Googles this movie and ends up watching Julia Stiles and Save the Last Dance. That would just be incredible.
Well, now I won't. I was about to on accident,
All right.
but
I was gonna text over and be like, "Here's the link, so you don't gotta find it."
I know
All
what
right.
it is.
That's pretty.
sorry.
That is pretty
Bring it
funny.
on.
I appreciate that. But this is the moment everybody waited for. I don't know how you pulled that up, but you did. Did you hit the button?
Yeah,
Ben hit it before we were ready to go. Here we go. Welcome everybody to Pop Drop Lock. We're excited that this episode is presented, or this segment, by Hooligan Discs. Taking a risk on this segment when it wasn't really fully a thing. They said, yeah, we're in, and they're giving away prizes to the winners of this. My understanding is, as of this current, well, I don't want to say current mode, right before we went on with WACO, we had over 600 users registered. Maybe that some of it was after the start of the event, so they didn't get in their points, but we had over 500 and plus actual recorded scores.
Yep.
I have a feeling this is going to tap out eventually what we have set up with this web server. We're going to get there eventually. I think it's 2,000. Don't wait to get in on this. See where you rank. In fact, I think it could be about 100 people beat the whole show, all together.
Yeah.
So here's the point.
Oh, you're asking how many? I can tell you how many beat us.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to pull up Nick's score.
A lot of people beat me.
Nope.
Yeah, well, let's do ours first, and then we can.
I'm giving him his picks. It's going to play music again. We're going to do this right. Everybody, pop, drop, lock. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up Nick's points. Nick's points right there, 75.
The winner.
Matt, 40. Myself, Ben, 7.
My FPO picks are still up. Does that matter?
Oh, it's there. I don't know why, but it's okay. 6 points for Josh.
Sorry.
And
Incoming last.
53 points for Evan, which I am impressed, Evan. Good job. 53 using Ben's pop pick as your drop, and you slayed it.
Hey, unless Nick gets too happy, Nick, 129 people beat you. I just want to remind you.
I'm not surprised by that whatsoever. But you know what? I beat you guys. Yeah. And we almost had a cheater in our midst with Ben. You know, he was trying to bend the rules, but just
Ben thought he was better than everyone.
Ben thought he was better than everyone and wanted to get in when his player dropped.
Now.
Here's the moderator and me. I want to get on with the segment, but what happened is people dropped Calvin Heimberg, right? First of all, Calvin says, "Hey guys, I'm dropping." This was, I don't know, half hour prior to the event. Evan texts the group. This is at 6:30 in the morning. Hey, Calvin just said he dropped. Like, we need to, if you want to switch, do it now. I'm sleeping still. And this was probably the day of or after I was really sick. And I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, oh, dang it, I missed it. Like, Calvin dropped and Ben realized, was it Calvin? Stacey Ronsley dropped. Mm-hmm. And he's like, can't we just switch it? Like, the round hasn't started yet. The long story short is last year, the benefit of Ben, we did do this.
Correct.
Because we were not competing against all of you.
I forgot about
that.
But
now that we have a competition with the show, as in the listeners, the viewers, it would not be fair.
It would have been cheating, and I agree. I just didn't. I was thinking about the show.
We cannot rehash our text chain.
We're not going to.
No.
It was epic.
Oh my goodness.
Hey,
Ben
rules are rules, but there's an
right
exception for everyone. Chat, I know you agree with me. Rules are rules, but there's an exception for everyone.
Except for Gannon Buhr. There's no exception for him.
Oh, no, but there's an exception for Nate Sexton. He literally proved my point, so thank you.
All right, here we go, everybody.
Different scenario.
We're gonna
not the same.
What I'm gonna do is pull up.
They didn't
points here.
intentionally let Nate Sexton have more time.
The points for Nick, we already took them down, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Nick's picks here. Hopefully, it pulls them all up now. Nick, go ahead and tell us who you picked. Oh, wait, and for fun, you ready for this? Actually, this is new, and I want everybody to play along.
Timer.
Here we go.
As if this isn't fun enough. Here we go.
In the chat,
Matt.
In the chat, you can vote live right now with who are your favorite picks.
But wait until we all say it.
They can change their votes. They can change their votes live. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up. If you click the link.
Yeah, don't vote yet.
No, they can. They can change it as it goes, though. So
who's going to do that?
I don't know. Maybe they like Nick's picks.
Who's going to change
the link in the chat live right now? If you click it, you can vote for who you like their picks the best, who did the best picks. And it will live on screen populate, letting us know who you like. Nick, give us your picks.
All right, popping off in the FPO division, Cynthia Ricciardi has not been playing up to her standards, but I feel like we are going over to the Open at Austin. It's a longer course. She actually is a pretty good power thrower, and I'm thinking for some odd reason she's just going to pop off this week. My drop is Jessica Weiss. And only reason I'm saying that is I think with the added distance onto it, birdie putts are going to be a must get out there. She's not the strongest of putters on the tour, so I feel like that could be kind of detrimental to her game this upcoming week. Then my lock is obvious. It's very rarely going to change, and I'm going to start getting my points early in the season. But Kristin Tattar is my lock on the FPO side. I think she is just too damn dominant to not pick her. Going off on my pop-off side, Parker Welk, reason I say it, DDO winner last year, pops off at these golf course kind of courses, and he's already got an A-tier win under the belt this year. I'm ready for him to pop off. James Proctor is my drop. No specific reason, except I just feel like he's been playing too dang good, and that's not a bad thing at all. But I just think this weekend's going to be a little bit tougher for him. And then my lock, back-to-back. We're going to have our first back-to-back this year in the MPO division, Ganon Buhr. Going to take it down, Open at Austin, actually go back-to-back on the Pro Tour this year, but then also back-to-back for this event, as he was the chase card winner last year. So I think his confidence is sky high right now. Bam, Ganon Buhr.
I love how Evan's already getting votes. I will say currently we're using a version that doesn't allow everybody to vote. If this goes well, we will increase the amount of users able to vote. But right now, just jump in and vote for who you like. If you want to change it,
I'm going to vote for myself.
For no reason.
If you want to change it, you can.
I can register for this?
No, you don't have to register.
Just skip.
You just skip.
I'm trying to vote for myself here. And
everyone's voting for themselves. Here we go. I put up my points. Here's my picks. Thanks for sharing those ones, Nick. Yeah, I realized after watching the way this unfolded that either I have to be more conservative with my picks or more outrageous. Like, to win, you're going to have to be pretty right on with your locks, and you're going to have to pick somebody who can go crazy. But if I want to beat the show, us, like here individually, I can be a little more conservative. It's a tough gamble here. So I'm going to go with Jake Hebenheimer. Jake is pretty far down the list as far as his average finish in 2023 goes, but I think he has the ability here to at least outperform what his average is. And I think his average was 45 or 55, somewhere in there. So at this event open at Austin, I expect he's going to outperform that. That's my pop. My drop is Chandler Kramer. Just based off of last year's average, he had a great year. He's not shining this year. It seems pretty easy to me. Simon Lizotte, going from... Josh, I think you have this, the worst stats for anybody to drop out of the whole thing. I think it was him and Aiden Scott dropped 60 spots. But I am picking him from the possible worst drop of players that we had available to now lock in for a win or at least a top 10 for Simon. I'm feeling it. He played well here. That being said, Gannon said the whole course changed. So I don't know. But Juliana Korver, FPO pop. I feel like that's a lock on a pop. Like, I feel like for sure that she is going to pop off compared to her average. Jennifer Allen got points for her last week or this week. I'm going to do it again. And then finally, my lock is Missy Gannon for FPO. There you go. All right, going over
before
to
we get into Ben's picks really quick, Matt, be very observing. Be very observing of Juliana as her husband is getting some testing done on Tuesday, so she might potentially have to drop out if they need to do more testing.
Okay, well, I had another one lined up, but I'll keep an eye on that. Thank you very much for that. All right, Ben, you're up.
Don't want you to pull a Ben.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
All right, welcome to the Pop Lock Drop Academy. I'm your host, Ben. So Pop MPO, we got AJ Carey. Let's just be honest, he just has a bad average finish, 72. I believe in him. He did well at chess.com open, and I don't really think I'm going to get any negative points from him, so even if I get 10 from him and he finishes 62, then whatever. For my pop, I got Kona Montgomery. I believe she's playing. I'm going to have to check that. I did check. She's registered, but I hope she actually plays. Yeah, just average finish 30s. I don't see her doing much worse than that. That's kind of my mindset. As we have the 2023 averages, it'll change, but right now I'm just doing drastic. I'm dropping Lori Lettinen because he has like a 23 average, and so that's really high, and I think he can drop. So I'm just, like I said, I'm playing the stats. That's all I'm doing. It doesn't matter the name or who they are. Same with Jennifer Allen. She averages like 9th. So if she finishes outside top 10, then I get points. I'm locking in Simon Lizotte. He's got that dog in him. He played terrible at Waco, he said himself, and I think he's going to come in with a new, fresh mindset. So, Matt, I agree with you. I'm locking him in. I think he's going to figure it out this weekend and get good.
Dude, the chat's calling you out on Kona. They're like, that is too risky as a pop.
Whatever.
All right.
I've always...
You got shellacked last week or this week.
I got schlaybacked. And then I'm locking in my Holland Hanley pick because she finished well here last year and she's been playing very well, and I'm okay with the top 5. I'm not going for wins right now. I'm saving my ace in the hole.
Awesome. All right, the votes are coming in. It's interesting to see how Evan's winning without...
what does he make? Man's opened an incognito browser and just like kept voting for himself.
Yeah, I got like 8 of them open right now.
Nice. Rolling.
No, I tried that earlier. It only lets you in on 1 or 2. All right.
You're not doing it right then.
Oh, maybe I don't have...
You gotta... everyone in development, you got to have lots of different browsers. So, and every
So
single
Evan
browser also has a
doing
private
it.
window. No, I'm joking. That is true.
All right.
I generally have lots of browsers available. I mean, anyone can do it.
Watch,
It's not
ready?
like
I'm gonna
anything
vote for myself right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh,
Oh,
double vote.
double vote. All right, here we go.
All right, Josh,
you're
give it to us.
All right. I'm going to walk it backwards. You ready? Just for the sake of it. Kristin Tattar, FPO lock, because obviously. Drop Sarah Hokum because we're still using 2023 averages. I think it's the best statistical pick. And Rebecca Cox, maybe risky, average 24th, finished 24th at Open at Austin previously, but 14th and 13th this year so far. So some margins there. So hoping for the best. And then in MPO, Gannon Buhr, obviously. Calvin Heimberg, because he averaged 4th. And that's just so hard to average that high. And he may be kind of fighting a little bit of some body injury issues. And then, hey, maybe I'm just caught up in what we just saw. It's possible, but Luke Humphreys, here's something to consider. So his average is 42. Early season, he does well. So just quickly, his first 3 events average in 2022 was 17. His first 3 event average in 2023 was 21. His first 2 events this year so far, his average is 8th. So why not? In fact, if he even finishes on the same kind of early season average, he's finishing 7th. That gives me like 30-something points. So we'll see if he can pull it out. He DNF'd at Open in Austin last year, and I couldn't find why. But we'll see what he does this year. There's my picks.
Awesome. And then rounding it out. And by the way, Evan's going to give us his picks, and then we're going to leave it up for about 10 seconds longer after his picks so you can get your votes in for the final pick.
You can't change your pick.
Yes, you can.
I
just undid mine right now.
Oh,
You gotta delete it.
Oh,
Here we go.
I see in the right.
Okay,
Okay,
right.
Here you go.
Got it.
All right. Pop pick, Mason Ford. He played super well here at Waco this past weekend. Got to stick with that Texas. Feeling good for him. Funny enough, I also picked Simon Lizotte. So that's 3 of us picking a guy who finished outside the top 70 and missed the cut. But it's Simon Lizotte. Obviously, we're picking him for a reason. But find that interesting and almost want to change it now that I see you guys having him. But faith's still in Simon for that lock. Again, it's not necessarily for a win, but it's for just betting on that good finish. And just like Ben was saying in FPO, I'm saving my top pick. I'm going Holland Hamley here. She's playing super well. I'm saving Kristin for a few events where I'm like 100% guaranteed she's going to win. Which some people are going to be like, what? You're not 100% guaranteed she's going to win? Well, she finished 5th here last year, which is a very good finish. But that's not first that she does very often. So I'm going to wait until I feel confident with that. And then my pop pick is Leah Sinagini. She's just been playing really well to start this season. I don't know off the top of my head what her average was last season, but it's definitely lower than what she's capable of. So I'm really liking her going forward here at the Open in Austin.
She's just a part of the PDGA. Come on now.
I mean, she is, but I picked her for her play. So
technically, they're all part of the PDGA.
No,
I don't have much to do with the board of directors.
Yeah,
she is a board of director. I don't have much to do with the board of directors, so I'm not trying to pander here to the board of directors. But I do think she's going to play well, and that's why I picked her. So that's my reason there. And then drops, again, my drops will be whatever Ben's pop picks are. So in MPO, AJ Carey, and an FPO, Kona Montgomery.
Yeah. I love how that works. It's auto. It's auto. Whatever Ben puts in, it just populates for Evan, which is sweet.
I don't know until we show up here,
It's
which
true.
I almost kind of wish I went before Ben, so it'd be like a surprise in the moment.
True.
I get all of Josh in between to figure out who my drops are and kind of prepare, even though I don't say anything about it.
Here, Matt. Yeah, Matt's at 5%. I feel bad. I'll give you a little
I
courtesy.
don't.
No, just kidding. I'm going back to me.
Okay. So Ben's loving the votes. He loves the votes.
Yeah, great. Ben, you're moving yourself from 4th place all the way to 4th place.
So for the listeners online, it's a tie right now between Nick and Josh. Did it just change? No, yeah, Nick and Josh at 26% of the votes. So we'll go with that. Someone pointed out something really interesting here, and it's true, but strategy is going to really unfold as we go forward with this because this is the last week where the averages are based off of 2023. The picks following this event are going to be based off of this year's average, which is going to be like people like Calvin are going to have a really low average, most likely, as in low, as in bad. And then they have an opportunity to really get you lots of points.
It's just the preseason.
This is preseason. Josh, they said for Calvin Heimberg as a drop, which I did the first event. And it's true, the strategy's here. The worst you do is you lose 4 points because you can only go up to first place, which would be -4 as your drop. But if you think he's going to fall down 10 points, is that enough of a drop for you? Or do you think he's going to fall more? You know, like it's really strategic here to say, how do I win this whole thing? Getting points over under is one thing. Picking who's going to do it by the farthest margin is risky. And that's where this fun comes into this game. Actually, as part of this, we also have this to award. Oh, it's behind us. That's great.
Oh, that's sick, man.
No, it's behind us.
But that's sick.
We'll fix it. But so we have the winner. I want to shout out the winner, which is... I've got so many windows going on. What was the name of the winner?
Qualified Tarsier.
Okay.
4404.
And I'm pretty sure.
And from the YouTube chat, that's the disc golf experience.
I don't know if I want to give away his name incognito, like if he's incognito, but I'm pretty sure I have his first name. We do have his email, and it is at thediscgolfexperience.com. It matches up. He scored 77? I think it was 177 points. It's 174. Yep. And when you break that down, he picked Kristin to win. He picked Gannon to win, so we got 2 of the lock picks. And then where he really went off was Casey White as a pop, which was 44 points, and Paul Macbeth as a drop, which was like 50-something. When you put all that together, plus a couple of his other
Ian
picks.
Gannon Buhr to win.
Yes. When you put all that together.
Tattar to win.
And Natalie to pop. Now, when you put all of that together, 174. I don't think I've ever scored that much in this game, ever. Now, let's see the consistency here. Can it be done back to back? Or will he be just as frustrated as all of us going into the next event?
He gets a vibe,
we'll
so
see.
Whatever.
We'll see. Yeah, actually, let's go out to the 5-up real quick, and I will take the poll down, and we will show that prize one more time. Here's the round of applause.
Record that I was the highest.
Here it is, everybody. The first run vibe. We're going to get that shipped out to the winner there. I will email you. Be on the lookout for that. We just need your address, shipping information. We'll get that over to Hooligan. So thank you, Hooligan Discs, for sponsoring this, giving me the prize. This is going to be an epic season. It's not too late to sign up at popdroplock.com. Create a username. Get in your picks prior to 7 a.m. Eastern on the day of the event, which this case, what is the date? I'm pulling up the calendar. It's 15th. March 15th, 7 a.m. Eastern would be the final moment you could get it in. Have fun with us. We're going to continue. You'll see, thanks to Shrek, our guy building this out for us, you will continue to see improvements. Already, you're seeing some. You will continue to see improvements as we go. Everything from the user interface to the graphics is being built out as we go, but why not have fun while it's happening? Thanks, Dave, for that.
And tell your friends about it. This is the new kind of grip 6 that UDisc used to do. I would say this is kind of the new pop-off thing right now. Pop, drop, and lock, baby.
I want to know what, 11 of the players last week, what do they know that we don't? 11 of them picked Casey to pop and Paul to drop.
They made smart statistical choices, I think.
I'm just saying. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, Casey White is a pretty...
But Texas in March, Josh.
Well, not always.
Texas in March,
no, two of his best events, but he has also finished 50th at Waco in March. So, I don't know. That's kind of that's tough.
Yeah, you're going to see in these types of games when people are at the top of the leaderboard, you're going to see congregation of the really good picks. And so, 6 people picked, or is it 6? No, it was
11 people picked Casey and Paul.
Yeah. So, there's likely something to it, but it's also they're all just bunched together at the top, so you notice it.
Right.
If we then did the analysis and looked through, there easily could have been another player who's picked more often than Casey, just wasn't as good of a pick.
Absolutely.
Well, 3 people picked perfect in MPO. So that's not bad. And they finished first, second, and fourth. To your point, Evan, it's of course they finished at the top because they picked the right people.
Here's a few other fun facts. This segment is really giving us a lot of legs to run on or talk on, but I also want to make sure we get into some other topics here. But fun to look at. The worst drop They're called drop winners. I don't know if we want to call them that. But the players who earned the most points on dropping was Aiden Scott and Simon Lizotte tied at a 60-point margin for these people who picked them as drops. That is massive. So they picked Simon to drop, which is, I don't know how many times, but that's like, come on, that was a big move. I guess they were playing the odds again. You pick the high player in hopes that it's going to pan out for you, and you don't lose as much if they move up the leaderboard. You have a lot more to gain with them dropping. But 60 points. Drew Gibson rounds that out for the third spot at 55 points for MPO. And then the pop winners, we already know. Casey White was number 1 pop for MPO, number 1. Sick. Luke Humphreys, 40 points, number 2. And then Barsby, third place for the pop off player MPO. I thought about literally picking him too in Texas, and the way he plays, I was like, man, it's so
he
close.
lives in Texas.
And then FPO winners. Something else you'll notice is you don't score as many points in FPO, but if you do, then fantastic job. But Leah, how do you say this? Sina Jenny, 12 points. Cadence Burge, 11. These are the pop winners. And then Rebecca Cox, 10. So they all got 10, 11, 12 above their average. And finally, again, the drop winners, which this hopefully helps people out with their picks, or they're going to prove us wrong. Sarah Hokum at 21 points, Jennifer Allen at 20, and Katrina Allen at 13 as far as dropping goes. Now, got to get this off my chest.
Because I picked Sarah.
Yeah, that was a big one for you.
Yeah.
I got to get this off my chest because I've been talking to my kids about it. You do what you want, how you pick your picks, and you watch the event unfold. I cannot find it in me to root against a player. Like, I can't be like, come on, miss that putt. I need more points. Like, no, I can't do it. No. I actually am rooting for them to prove me wrong. And the results as they pan out, if it gives me points, then it does. I just can't bring myself to root against them. As far as the pop goes and the lock, I'm definitely cheering them on. But this is
like if I was betting for hundreds of dollars, I'm 100% rooting against them to miss putts and everything like that. But since we're doing this for fun and it's just bringing a new thing to the disc golf world that we kind of created, and yeah, I'm not rooting for them to play bad, but. I'm also not going to stand on the pod or sit on the podcast here and say, yeah, I think Simon Lizotte's going to be my drop or Paul Macbeth. Those are friends of mine who I want to see succeed, and I don't want them to watch this and be like, dang, my own friends are turning against me.
They're both good picks this week, unfortunately for them.
I know. I just won't do it.
Just do it and say, hey, it's just I don't think you're going to do bad.
No, because I don't need Paul to text me after be like, ha, see, proved you wrong, and be like, yeah, I get it. I always thought you had it in you, but
and then Nick, guess what? Your friend does well. Put that chip on his shoulder right now. Do it.
Let's all as a show next week. Vote for drops on the people that we want to do better and see what happens. We call it the pop drop lock effect or something.
See, right. Paul said it in his Instagram post. He said, give it till after Austin. If he's still playing bad, then we can talk crap. So I got to wait one more week. And if he plays bad again, then I can give him a hard time.
Well, one more thing, Matt.
We'll see if people pick him to drop this week. A lot of people picked him to drop last week.
That will also be an interesting thing to look at for stats, Josh.
Literally, by the way, one in 4 players picked Paul to drop. Which, I mean, given the circumstances, is not really far-fetched, coming off of an injury, averaging 11th last year. But still, I think he gave more points than we might have guessed.
It will also be interesting to see, Josh, as you mentioned, you went Luke Humphreys. But it will also be interesting to see how
how it surges.
We can look back and see the previous week and then see how many times they got picked the following week.
Can we also, just 2 tactical questions. This is the last time we're using 2023 season averages. Okay. So after this, we roll into this season's rolling average. Well, not rolling, but a cumulative average for 2024 events. And the other question asked in the chat is, are we adding up points in aggregate week to week, or is it each week is standalone?
Each week is a standalone. However, play for the long game because there's a chance that at the end we make an additional leaderboard that shows season total. But so just keep that in your mind. I know that is going to change your strategy. Do you want to try to pop off and just go all the way out every week and see if you can win it? Or do you want to see if you can get a better average? I would say both are going to be there. So you're just going to have to play your game, decide what you want to do.
The long term.
Pick your best picks. I think, and I know that can change. Again, the strategy can change, but pick your best picks and just stick with them.
Well, you have somebody like Paul who is starting off really rough. Let's just, for argument's sake, say it's all about the shoulder, which it very well could be that. And then we start using the 2024 average, and all of a sudden Paul's going to be like your best.
He's about to pop off.
Yeah, right? But
Yeah,
that's actually
pop-off
part
points.
that's part of the fun. Of course, there can be some wild swings, especially when we roll from a full season average to 3 event average. But hey, that's part of what we're playing. And I know we're not officially tracking cumulative, but for what it's worth, amongst us, Nick, you're in the 2-week lead. Then Ben, then me, then Evan, then Matt.
Oh, man.
Dang,
Get wrecked, stat man. No, you may
I
beat
thought
me
I
in
had
chess, but I'm wrecking you at the pop, lock, and drop, baby.
Yeah,
Drop lock.
Evan's tearing through us on chess.
I'm done
but
playing
we
chess.
have
I'll just
him
say
here.
that. I
I
didn't
don't know.
accept your guys' games
Evan has
because I'm
blundered
done.
like 4 times our last game. It just didn't help that I blundered 4 times right off the rip.
I'm not talking about it.
I've had the lead over Nick the entire time, but yes, I have not closed the door, and it is killing me. I don't even want to talk about it. But Matt, you need to get on it because I am like 9-1 versus the show.
I'm done.
I think Evan's looking up videos mid-play. I think
That's what I'm
sometimes
saying.
he's
He's using a
100%
ball.
He's got the
Okay,
little
okay.
hint bar. He's looking
Stop.
for the next best move.
Stop. Really cool
All
thing
right.
about chess.com is that it knows what the mathematically like best move you can do, so it can analyze how good your game is, and so you can see, hey, is this person a human based on their responses? Because you don't always want to have the perfect chance. So you can see how good you are. And so I'm clearly not doing that.
We are
'cause
clearly
I'm
not very
none of
good,
us
Evan.
are. So, and especially our most recent game that's still ongoing. It's your move, Nick. We're definitely not doing those the best moves possible. But that is a really cool thing it is doing. So you can really have definitive proof. No, I guess I could be using a computer and then choosing not to use it. But no, like you're not using a computer. That's so silly.
I personally just found myself looking at a chessboard for 10 minutes at dinner with my friends, and I was just like, I don't have enough time for this to be thinking about this
You
stuff.
have 3 days to make your move. Yes, you have enough
I'm
time.
done.
We played
I'm
this slow
officially
game.
done. I didn't accept Josh or Nick's request. I saw it, but I'm done.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, disc
your
golf.
move.
What do we got, Matt? Let's go through some topics.
Hey, I let you guys go. You know, I used to get called out for cutting you off. Now I just let the show run itself. 2024 Texas State Disc Golf Championships will be the next event following this one, of course. But that will be the event where this average starts for this season.
Is U.S. Women's after Open at Austin?
Yes, I don't know if we're going to include U.S. Women's as a standalone, just because we don't have the setup currently for that.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, let's not plan on it for now, unless you hear us shout it out next week. I will say, in closing out this whole long segment that we just talked about, just a reminder, we don't know that we're giving this away continually. But Ben, tell us about the first run vibe. You said you had something.
So the first run vibe's already sold out. You're not going to be able to get it in the aftermarket. But the stock run vibe is releasing tomorrow on the Hooligan Discs website. And if you use code Ben10, you get 10% off your order, or Stance10, whichever one you want to use. It doesn't support us. It just shows Garrett that where you.
It supports us.
Well,
that way.
yeah. Where you heard from to buy the product. Where you heard, I guess.
If you do that, it demonstrates value that we are
value exactly,
and then we can charge a lot more to him. Which $1 million.
But yeah, but I meant like that. I'm not making like $1 on this. It literally just shows that like you were finding out through Hooligan through us. So
Ben's
that's huge.
Ben's tracking with me, and then I'm like, then we can charge a lot more in his face. I got to go back and watch that.
But yeah, stock run vibes tomorrow. They're the best disc I've ever thrown.
Okay, so this is episode 181. I wanted to ask any reactions to Ricky Wysocki. One, showing up at 4.5 minutes to his tee time. So 30 seconds late compared to the rule this year, which says be at your tee time, checked in and ready 5 minutes prior. Not so much, go ahead and react however you want. I'm going to say who called him out, who enforced it, all that stuff. You can talk about that if you want. But generally, Ricky coming on social media and saying, hey guys, I was 4.5 minutes before my tee time, which is 30 seconds late. I was stroked, the end. What do you think? Is this a good rule that's in place, and any other things surrounding? Anybody want to react to that?
I'll kind of go first with it because we actually had this experience over at the Chess.com Invitational where it was the first time that I had heard the rule being implemented. And there were a few players who did get penalty strokes because of showing up, less than 5 minutes early to their tee time. I think it's a good rule in the sense of it gets people there to go over course notes. TDs and the starters usually have more things to say than they did the day prior. So wanting to make sure that players have enough time to hear what's going on with the course, make sure everything's good, and then enough time to then refocus, get ready, throw their first shot. And it also keeps it so if we're doing 12-minute increments between tee times or 12-minute intervals, then okay, we're keeping up with the pace. Having players arriving early makes it so they hear everything that they need to, and then we can also start them at the same time.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any thoughts?
Sorry, not the same time, but on time.
Yeah. So like, I am not going to comment on whether the rule is a good rule. I mean, Nick, what you said makes sense. I'm not going to comment on how it actually went down and how it was called, whether somebody mentioned it to the marshal. Like, so I understand there's lots of things that I could have an opinion on, but I just do not understand being a top tier professional player and not being on time when that's the rule. I understand it's new this year, but if I in media understand that there was a rule change, I knew about this. Kevin Jones was called on it last week. I knew about it before the first event of the season. How does a player not know that and do it? Now, by the way, I'm not talking about something went wrong and I was running late. Like that might happen for a bunch of reasons. That's not what seems to have happened here. It seemed to be like, I was close by. I was on the warm-up basket. It's a new rule this year. I didn't really know. I just don't understand. And this is not about picking on Ricky. It's a general sentiment that sometimes we hear. We see players on the course not always knowing what all the rules are. And maybe it makes me sound like kind of, simplistic or rude, but I just do not understand how these top tier players can let that play out. Again, I might have different opinions on whether the rule is a good rule or whether we should allow grace, but in this case, it's a rule. Be there 5 minutes early, know the rules, show up on time, no excuses. I don't know. It's frustrating.
I can get behind that. But anyways, yeah, so he did say that. Ricky came on and said, I'll do better. I will give him credit. There was almost a little bit of like justification, but barely any. It was maybe a hint of it in Ricky's like social post, but generally it was, hey, I got to do better. So he owned it in that sense. He did slide some things in there, but he owned it. I expect that we'll see that change going forward. And frankly, 2 different people having early in the season, I bet a lot of other people don't have this happen going forward. How about this? Just interesting to talk about as we get close to wrapping out the show. Maria Oliva, she drops from the event after round 1 because she brought or forgot, or however it works, she didn't have her disc golf bag. And I think she, from my understanding, a couple hours away, hour and a half away, somewhere in that range, too far to make it back and forth in time for a tee time. So I'll just play with somebody else's discs. That feeling, have you ever had that feeling? Ben, I was going to ask you, the chat. I have locked my discs in a car prior to a tournament. Besides trying to break the window actually physically open, I thought it was over too, and it's a horrible feeling. Ben, tell us your story real quick.
Yeah, so I've showed up at a tournament 30 minutes away, about to unpack, my bag's not there. Fortunately, it was only 30 minutes away, so I completely understand how it could have happened. It's just one of those things, like my bag's always in my car. I don't even have to check. And then that one time it's not in your car, then you're like, oh my goodness. But I'm going to give her grace, hopefully she doesn't do it again. It is something that really shouldn't happen as a professional, but I'm going to give her grace because we make mistakes all the time. We're human. She probably thought it was in her car, and it's always been her car, and it just wasn't. So it was unfortunate how it played out. She already, in my opinion, paid the consequences for it. She played pretty bad the first round, had the DNF, but it's a
wait. Did she have to DNF? Well, and this is my second part of the question.
But she did
Would
DNF.
you?
No.
Would anybody, and this is not a judgment on her, this is me personally asking you, if you shot 23 or 4 over and I was out of normal, would you drop and go get your discs or be done, or would you go get your discs for the next rounds? Just curiosity. Evan wants to chime in.
Well,
go ahead,
I want to hop in just to clear up this specific story. I mean, then you can speculate about like what would you do in this scenario. But Maria did post on social media afterwards, stating that she was going through some personal things. I don't know if it was an injury or maybe like outside of disc golf, just things going on that was really affecting her, and that was more of the reason that she dropped out. She said that she got a little bit of practice time with her disc, felt comfortable enough to play, and that wasn't the reason for playing way below her skill level and then ultimately DNFing. So I mean, people can speculate on like if that's true or not. That's up to you. But right. I think it's pretty clear that something else was going on. This was just fair. This was not a normal day for her. We all have those days where just like personal things are going on and you just cannot focus. And like, even just on your day job, let alone performing as a professional athlete in front of people. So Ben, you're going to give her grace. I am as well, because I'm going to forget this round for her. You know, it'll live on in the history books. Technically, it will be a DNF, and that first round will exist in ratings. But like, for all things considered, just this round didn't happen for her skill level and her game going forward.
Yeah, and I appreciate you giving that insight, because that makes the DNF like a little more justifiable. Like, a lot going on, you forgot your bag, a lot of mental health stuff. You know, mental health is real, and it's something people suffer. And that she didn't feel like going through things, and then she didn't feel like she couldn't play her best just mentally. Then it's more justifiable. But if she just did it just because she forgot her bags and didn't want to look bad, then that's another story. But like you said, you can't speculate. She said she has things going, and that's what I'm going to go with. And yeah, we're going to move on and have grace, and she's not going to do it again.
Yeah, really? Let's place a bet on. Oh, Josh, can you fill us in on what the bets were? Because we got them wrong, apparently. That $20 bet that apparently I had made. Apparently. In the chat, what was that $20 bet I made with Ben?
Wait, before Josh said in chat.
That's what I'm saying. Tell us what the bet is.
$20 bet was.
And they're gonna say, "Oh, Matt said Ella Hansen won't win this year," and I would have said last week, "Yeah, I did make that bet. I guess." Our brains do funny things. I never made that bet. We went back. Josh went back and checked out the show. And Josh, tell us what the bets that were made with Nick and I specifically. I think they were $20 bets for this year.
Yeah, I'm the one apparently who documents all of our conversations week to week. Exactly what happens.
The archivist.
And I think previously on the show, you started talking about it, and I didn't feel like it was right, but I was second guessing my notes. So I went back and checked. So no, Ben bet Matt $20 that Henna Blomroos will get a win this year. Yes. So Ben, his famous words are always like, "I believe in the player." So Ben believes. Yeah, that's great. So that's $20 on the line. Big bucks here. And then since Ben was just in a betting mood, he also bet Nick that Eagle will win in 2024 because he believes in the players. So
I mean, Eagles.
We're still waiting to see what's going to happen this year.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That one's a bad bet, I think. But it could be right. He didn't win last year.
One more time, and he doesn't play the rest of the season. And guess who wins?
Come on, we don't root against players.
Now, I'm not rooting against him to get injured. But
all for $20 bucks.
All in all, I'm going to be $40
I'll send
up.
You $20
I'm going to be $40 up from Staggered.
Double or nothing. Henna, which event does she win?
Double. That is like the worst odds ever.
Yeah,
that's not double or nothing. That's like
I'm making it
10 times or nothing.
10 times or nothing. What event does she win? Then you don't pay anything.
She went. What? If she wins, then I'm getting paid. You're paying me.
But which event do you think? See, it's hard to know. You're just feeling hopefully for her that she'll win, and it's tough.
By the way, those two bets went down right after Ben was quoted saying, "I'm not a betting person." So
I'm not.
For what it's worth.
I'm really not. I've probably gambled on sports like every Super Bowl. That's about it.
I believe you. I like the irony.
The past 3 Super Bowls, and I've won every single time. I bet $20 and I've won every single time.
Wow, you shouldn't stop. You should go all in.
No, I'm smart. I'm smart.
I'm just kidding.
I don't bet a lot. I bet $20 and I'm okay if I make 10 because I've seen people lose more than $20, and it's not worth it.
For how much we're talking about gambling, we need to put up like the gambling addiction hotline. Like, please call this number if you have an issue.
I'm vouching not to gamble. I don't even care about gambling. Don't do it. It's literally not worth it. You will lose.
What do you mean? You can become a millionaire like that if you gamble.
All right,
you will literally lose.
We're making too many jokes here.
You are more likely to become a millionaire by not.
Not likely to do it. But.
I will say as we close out, weather delays were a thing. I really think they're handled well. As far as it's a lot of moving parts to shift and change, especially between courses. DGN gets shifted back, and that's most of the viewers, spectators. There's obviously at the course as well, but the majority are just able to shift and watch DGN and change that up. I will also say I appreciate the new DGN features of being able to watch things back. That changes a lot for me live as we're watching and wanting to see something played back. Spectacular new option, which some would say, dude, it should have been here 4 years ago. But I will say now that it's here, awesome. Evan, you don't have to tell us when. But when are we getting favorite player? I'm just saying it because that is literally the most like tweeted thing in the world right now. And I'm assuming when we sometimes I speak for you, I'm like, it's coming. I mean, you guys are probably saying that too. Eventually it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about managing features. I mean, we want to add everything all at once, but I mean, there's only so much you can add at once, and we understand that. And trying to prioritize which ones to do, which ones
all of them
are the most important to add, but also most feasible to add in a short time as we go kind of week to week here with events every week now. I mean, I will say, like, people really, really wanted time zones to see how long until someone teed off. People really wanted to see tournament stats.
Yes.
And so those were two that came out this past week that I think are already awesome.
Yes.
I'm loving them as a user myself. Plus, I mean, there's plenty of behind the scenes things that go on that, you know, maybe isn't noticed or just like function, you know, it runs a little bit faster, things like that take a lot of work to get in, and just different prioritization, excuse me. So I don't have a definitive answer on favorites,
but you've heard it.
I mean, favorites is number one priority. I'll say that.
But it is heard. I mean, lots of people were saying cuts this weekend. We hear all the features that people want. It's not going on deaf ears. We certainly hear it, and we're excited to bring it. Just it's all a matter of like what we can add and how long.
So fun for people. There's 2 tips, and you're going to get this bonus as we close out here. One, I think, is just basic, probably understandable, but when you get into the live app and you can't favorite your player, it's not the same thing at all, but tap the player row, filter by name, and just scroll to the name. I've done that quickly. It's way quicker than just trying to scroll through. Just tap name, filter by name.
And a really cool thing to add on top of that is if you like open a player and you see, you know, expanded out view and you see all the whole scores, you can go in between the rounds. And so, I mean, like as a viewer and making, you know, cool things like for Statman or talking about things like I use that all the time. I click on a player and then boom, I'm scanning through each round.
Are you up for hearing a feedback from me right now?
Quick. Let's hear it, Ben. I will pass it on to the team.
This is real quick. I don't think I had this problem at for chess.com, but for WACO, if I was clicking final round, it brought me on, and I expanded the players. It brought me to round 1, and I had to go.
We already talked about.
Okay, that. You already did. That I was confused. I don't think that was a thing for chess.com though. I think it worked for chess.com.
It might have been a glitch.
But then WACO, it was just bringing me to round 1, and I had to click for round 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I did hear that already, and
cool.
I know the team's already aware of it. So hopefully that's something we can knock out before.
That's an easy fix.
Excuse me, open at Austin. And the event coming this week.
Other tip.
I love the new app, by the way.
And the other tip, and this one came from Josh, and I'll just say it came from Josh. You had to mess around with this. DGN. One of the cool features that should be a part of any app really that plays audio is you can swipe out of your app and continue to listen to whatever you had playing.
And they used to do that.
Yeah, and YouTube, you know, you got to get premium features to be able to do that. But like all apps realistically can do that. You try that with DGN, and you'll see like the picture-in-picture flash up and then disappear. And you're like, come on. You close your phone, lock it. I still don't think you can lock your phone, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But what Josh discovered in the app, if you'd like a workaround on this, because I know a lot of people that would like to browse and do other things while it's playing. When you are in the app watching the video, like normally, hit the picture-in-picture button in the app. Like hit the button to go picture-in-picture. And it will put it picture-in-picture. And then you can browse around on your phone with picture-in-picture, and it works. It's still a little glitchy if you go into something else or you happen to go back to DGN, it goes back in, and like, but you can get away with it. Just hit picture-in-picture. Anybody know? Can you lock it? Can you lock the phone and keep playing?
What are you talking about for DGN or PDJ Live?
DGN, watching watching video.
Okay.
I don't think you can lock it still.
I'm not sure. I haven't tried it myself. I know people do.
I thought you were giving Evan feedback on this. That's why I was confused.
No,
Evan has nothing to do with it.
These were 2 tips.
Sorry, Matt clearly said we're switching over to DGN.
Thank you, Evan.
Okay, I just heard feedback, so I was like,
Speaking, Matt, I know you're wrapping us, but DGN, because it's so easy to actually scroll and navigate, I went back and listened to that live conversation between the Disc Golf Pro Tour Marshall and Gannon, and it's hard to hear over and over again, but we don't need to go into this topic, but let this like sink in, because Gannon asks him, and he's like, the time starts when you mark your disc and you step up to it and are ready to throw. How ambiguous is that? which is what Ganon was having a problem with. Like, there's no way.
Is there
Ganon's
diameter?
like,
That's
is there
hilarious.
a circle? And he walks behind the guy with his own pretend rangefinder, and like, it was weird. And then he tries to clarify, and it's just like, I'm happy for the rule in general, but there needs to be clarity, and that's what Gannon was calling out, because the conversation was not clear. It's really hard to hear exactly, but it's like, if you're trying to figure out what's in your way, that's one thing. But if you've already addressed what's already ahead of you and you're ready to throw and you're at your lie, that's when the time starts. Like, it's just,
I think
it's so vague. Anyway,
I think it will at some point become more solidified to an exact moment of a mini placed, or there's going to be some exact moment, because remember, this came up with the run-up issue and the rule changed, where now you can clear anything behind your lie. And last year, coming into Champions Cup or whatever the earliest major was, it was players Casey White laying down and doing like dirt angels to clear out his lies. Like, look, this is my lie. So like, they're like, come on. And the PDGA, eventually the rules committee changed that. I would imagine this is one that will, because it has been what's the right word? Ambiguous. Always has. It used to be when the fairway's free and clear of distraction, and it's like, well, what's that? Like, who decides?
So I'm all for pace of play.
Yeah.
I'm all for sticking to the rules as a stickler. Like, if you can't tell by my comments, I'm all for like I was saying, pace of play, like all of that, right? Like, I'm for it. But if it's vague, if it's inconsistent, and it almost costs someone a tour win, like, that is not great.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I've always been the one of the stance that rules are rules.
That's such a staggered stance, Ben. All right,
I'm joking.
Cool.
Ben moving the goalposts.
Yeah, moving the
normal.
goalposts. Here we go.
I was joking. I was saying, because that was my argument, that there's always an exception.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in on another wonderful Monday night here with the Staggered Stance crew. I appreciate you guys all tuning in and listening to us post audio production. Don't forget to check out the Pop, Drop, and Lock page. Get your picks in before 7 a.m. Eastern this Friday for the Open at Austin. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thank you so much to Disc Golf 978 and Hooligan Discs, really hooking it up with everything with the show Staggered Stance. And tell someone you love them this week.
Good job, everybody.
Catch you on the next one.
Everybody playing the game, you beat us. We'll keep trying to bring you the best in interviews and feedback from the players out there. We did reach out to Kristin. She's going to be a tough one to get this, and I don't mean that offensively, but like, she's now got this manager and social media and a plan, and we did reach out, and we'll just see how it goes. If it ever works out this season, then it does, and we'll be happy to have her. Otherwise, we're just going to keep bringing the players that are ready to come on and talk. Ben, you're awesome. Nick, you're awesome. Evan, Josh, you guys are awesome. Until next week, everybody. Peace out.
Peace out.